Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. Now, this will be an update to a video that I've gotten a lot of questions on, which is how to delete closed accounts from your credit report. Now, the thing about these videos that I have to always express to people is that you can delete a closed account by using the exact same methods that I've provided on this channel numerous of times. I notice when it comes to credit repair, if people see like one thing that has changed, like for example, the CFPB, if they see one thing change, they automatically are looking for like tricks or hacks. I just want to point this out because I can't stress it enough, which is why I don't like making credit repair content. Like I really don't want to make it anymore, but I can't stress this enough. Nothing changes unless your consumer rights change. So as long as the FCRA is the same, every single method we ever talk about on this channel will work. And if the FCRA changes, then you'll probably see me make some updates, because then that would actually warrant some sort of update. Now, the reason why I'm actually making this is because I'm doing two things right now. I'm showing you exactly how to remove closed accounts based on specific scenarios. And then I want to show you one with the CFPB still. And when I'm talking, understand that I'm going to be talking to address what's happened in the past. I'm going to be talking to address what's going on currently at this time. And then I'm going to be talking to address what's going to happen in the future. Because from what I've seen in the future, at least the last 3-4 years, nothing's really changed. So I just want to address that because there will be questions that'll be about things that have happened, things that are currently going on, and things that will happen. So just know that I'm going to be talking, and I'll try to address all of those at the same time, or as best I can in this present moment. Now, the current videos that I'm updating in 2026, I am going to put them in the timestamps below. You do not have to click off of this video. If you're someone new in any of these instances or scenarios that I give pertain to you, you can immediately go down to the corresponding video in the timestamp. Click on that video and follow those steps. So for example, if you have a closed pay collection account, go to my timestamp in the description and watch my collection removal video. If you have a closed charge-off account, watch my charge-off removal method. That has not changed. It doesn't matter if it's the CFPB. It doesn't matter if you send a letter certified. I'll also be giving a new method about disputing through Ryezing.com. It does not matter which one it is. The same method will apply. You have to do factual disputing. That will not change. That is the law. If you cannot send this through the CFPB, write a letter, print it out, send it in the mail. That is your final option. Everything else, all the other steps have not changed. They have not changed in the last 3 years since I started my channel. Nothing has changed. They all still work. If you have a closed account with late payments, you can use my previous videos for updating late payments. I'm going to actually be updating, I think, maybe 3 or 4 of those if I haven't done so already, depending on when you're watching this video. But if you're looking for it, you'll find that down in the description below. Because again, all these accounts I'm referring to, they can all be closed accounts. It could be a charge-off that's closed. It could be a late payment account that's closed. It could be a closed collection, and people seem to misunderstand exactly how to handle each of these accounts appropriately. Or let's say it's a closed account and it has like, let's say 4 late payments or more. You can look at just removing the entire account if it is closed. But if the account has, let's say, a lot of history, you can actually keep the account, right? There are ways that you can work around this, and we'll address every single method. So again, when you're watching this video, there should be timestamps below about how you can dispute this with Ryezing.com, which is probably going to be sending certified letters. Sometime in the future, there should be an option where you can actually dispute on their website. If that does not work, if all else fails, I'll still have my CFPB methods here as well. If that fails, send a letter certified. Nothing has changed with your consumer rights. The CFPB does not determine whether or not you get deletions or anything. You determine it by upholding your rights. All right. Now, without further ado, let's get right into the video. Now, before you try to remove a single closed account, I highly recommend that you go to Ryezing.com. You can also go to Annual Credit Report. Now, Annual Credit Report is the only website authorized by federal law to provide you your official credit report from all 3 bureaus at the time of recording. Now, you can pull it free weekly, which does make it easier for you to track, let's say, charge-offs and hard inquiries that you're disputing, things of that nature. Those reports show the exact information as the bureaus will see it. If you want to use that option, simply go to annualcreditreport.com and download your reports directly. Now, the second option will be Ryezing. Ryezing is a credit monitoring service. It offers a tri-merged credit report, which means it combines your Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion data into one single document. The reason this can be helpful for closed accounts is because of organization and ease of dispute. So instead of having to attach 3 separate reports, you can quickly see which accounts appear on which bureaus, where the data matches, where it doesn't, and any inaccurate information between all of these accounts. Ryezing also provides real-time dispute updates and a dispute hub, and you can start a trial for $1. The link will be down in the description. Either way, the objective is the same. You want a clean, readable view of your report, and you want to be able to confirm exactly how each bureau is reporting them. And once you have clarity on that, the dispute process should become far more controlled and far more effective. Now let's start with what a closed account actually is on your credit report. A closed account on your credit report is a credit card, possibly a loan, auto loan, something like that, that can no longer be used. So that means it was an account that was closed either by you or the issuer, and depending on the circumstance of the closure, that account can remain on your credit report for up to 10 years after the closure date. So if this is an account that was closed in good standing, no derogatory information like no late payments, no charge-offs, no repossessions, it's just a closed account, it will remain on your credit report for 10 years, and that account is perfectly fine. To be honest, you should actually just leave it alone. However, if you have negative information, that account will remain on your credit report for 7 years. And that date will start from the time that the account was actually closed. Now, this is something else that I talk to people a lot. They want to know if a closed account is bad. Now, a closed account, it really can be good or bad. It just depends on exactly what the information being reported is. So if the account has positive payment history, you want that account. You need that account to remain on your credit report for 10 years. It actually helps maintain your credit age and helps boost your credit score. In that situation, you would want to keep that account. You do not want to remove it for any reason, okay? Now, if the record of on-time payments is spotty, if you have any derogatory information, then that account is hurting you. You need to get it deleted. That account has to be removed, and we're going to talk about the situations and what you can do to actually get that account off of your credit report. Now, I think this is the part that people get confused. You cannot remove a closed account if the information on the closed account is accurate. That will not result in a removal. Now, if the information is somehow inaccurate, or you believe you have reasonable cause to believe the information is not correct, then you can dispute it and you can get it removed off of your credit report. So that's what we need to talk about. Now, there are situations where you can dispute the account and you can actually, let's say, create inaccuracies and you can get that deleted, but that's not going to happen very often. So let's actually address each scenario and what you should do to get that account deleted if it is reporting negative information. If it's not, then just leave it alone. It is perfectly fine. Now, if your account has a derogatory status, meaning, is it a charge-off? Is it a collection? Is it a repossession? Does it have, like, let's say 5 or more late payments? If that's the case, delete the account. You need to get that account deleted. You know how you get that account deleted? By disputing inaccurate information. If you want to dispute inaccurate information, go down to the timestamp and click on my charge-off removal video. You will follow that method. If the account is closed and it has derogatory information, right? Like, you will follow that. So if it's a charge-off that's closed, follow the charge-off video. If it's a collection that's closed, follow the collection removal video. If it's an account with late payments, but it has, like, let's say 5 or more, and that's kind of tedious to get all of those changed, then you can look at disputing that account. But understand, you have to find information on that account that is inaccurate. There has to be something on there that is not correct, and that is what you need to dispute. If you're having a hard time figuring that out, again, you can go to my video where I talk about how to create inaccuracies or how to find inaccuracies. I'm going to put that down in the timestamp as well. Now, if the account has no derogatory status, no late payment history, nothing at all, then keep the account. The account's not hurting you in any way. In fact, it's probably helping your credit score. Leave the account. Don't touch it. There really isn't too many situations where I could think where you would need to remove an account that's just closed in a positive standing. Now, the last option is to update it. Now, if you have an account that has positive payment history, let's say it has like 4 or 5 years of positive payment history, but for whatever reason, you have like maybe 3 or 4 late payments. My recommendation is just to get those late payments updated, because 4 or 5 years of positive payment history is a lot. You want to keep that. If there's just like 3, 4 late payments that you can update, just update those. That, you know, it's not that bad. But if it has like several late payments and it's just a lot and the account is closed, then yes, you will want to dispute that. You will need to do a factual dispute and dispute something on the account that is inaccurate, and then you can get that account deleted. So once again, there is a timestamp below with every single video that should correspond with all of these situations. And the method you would use to actually get these deleted, you can pick it for yourself. You can use the CFPB. You can use, let's say, Ryezing.com. You can also just send a letter certified. Any of those options can work for you. So just to recap, just because an account is closed, it doesn't mean that it's negative by default. You shouldn't remove a closed account unless it's included in, let's say, a bankruptcy, or it has more than 4 late payments, or some type of derogatory mark. You can try to keep the account on your credit report for the history. And if there are less than 4 late payments, then you can dispute the account and just update the late payments until it shows paid, never late. That way you can keep the account because it will be reporting positive information. Now, just to address everything else, please don't comment about the CFPB. If anything is going on for the future, if anything is going on, send a letter certified. That will never fail. Write a letter. Okay. If you don't know how to write a letter, go to my videos. Everything that I talk about in round 1, round 2, and round 3, take the body of that, write a letter, send it off. It's the same exact thing. You just have to send it in a letter. If you want, you can get my credit repair guide. You can purchase that. I have everything already in the form of a letter, and you can just take that, put your information, and mail it. You don't have to do that. I'm not saying you have to. You really don't. Like, you can actually go to Ryezing.com and it'll actually generate the dispute for you just by picking exactly what you're trying to dispute. So you don't have to do that. But I'm just saying, if you wanted like just a bunch of letters that are already there for you that you can easily customize, then go to the website, purchase that, and then you can send your letters via mail. Depending on when you're watching this, because again, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. If the CFPB is for some reason dismantled because of this current administration, again, it doesn't make a difference. It really doesn't matter. That's why I don't look at it. I don't panic. I don't really care. It doesn't change anything. It was just a nice way to send your disputes where you didn't have to pay for it. That's literally all it was, to make it easier for the person watching so they couldn't say, I couldn't make it to the post office. I didn't certify cost money. That's the only benefit of the CFPB, if I'm being honest. That was always the benefit. It had nothing to do with getting more deletions. It doesn't matter. What matters is your consumer rights. I'm sure more than likely in all my videos, I've already addressed this several times. I'm hoping that if anybody else has any questions, I'm addressing it one more time. And again, everything should be in the timestamps below for you. I just want to give clarity to what you should do in each scenario. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. I will be in the comments answering questions where, you know, if you want to ask me, well, in this situation for this type of closed account, what should I do? Just try to keep it very straightforward. Just ask me a direct question, please. If it's about a charge off, go to a charge off removal video. If it's about a collection, please go to that video. It's just easier to kind of keep up with those questions when they're actually going to the place where they're actually meant to be. For this video, if you're just asking about closed accounts, I can give you my opinion on what I would do if I was in your shoes in that scenario. All right. Once again, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video, and you guys have a wonderful day. Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. Now, in today's video, I'm going to give you an updated alternative method for removing third-party collection accounts from your credit report. And for this process, you're going to actually be using Ryezing.com. Now, if you have not seen my previous update I did on this for 2026, I'm going to link that video right here. Now, that video is going to be very important because you need to know how to actually create your affidavit through the FTC. So you want to watch that video. The one thing that we're going to change in this video is that you can actually draft your dispute through Ryezing.com by using their dispute hub. So for this method, you will not need the CFPB. So I did want to create an alternative that does not require the CFPB that you can actually use. Now, in the future, what's really great about Ryezing is that you'll be able to submit your disputes via their mobile app or via their website, and you will not have to send letters or use the CFPB. But at this time, you can only draft a dispute using their website. So I'll take you through that process. I will show you how to do that, but just keep in mind to create the affidavit, watch the previous video. And if you want to submit it through the CFPB, that video shows you how to do that. This will be an updated method where after you create your affidavit, you can then draft your dispute through Ryezing, and eventually in the future, you'll also be able to send your dispute through Ryezing.com. All right, so without further ado, let's get right into the video. Currently, we are on Ryezing.com. Now, I just want to reiterate because I know some people skip through the videos. You need to go to the FTC website, create your affidavit. That's in my previous video. I'm going to link it here or it'll be down in the description. Once you have done that, the next thing you need to do is go to Ryezing.com. If you don't have an account with Ryezing yet, you can actually start a trial for 7 days for just $1. You'll want to click on Get Started, and then you are able to start that trial. Now, once you have created that account, you can click on Login here at the very top of the page. When you get to login, you will see the member login. You will then enter your username, which should be your email, and then you will enter your password, and then you will log in. Once you successfully logged into Ryezing.com, you should actually see the dashboard. You should see the score center with all 3 of your credit scores. And then what you'll look for is negative accounts, which is right here. So I'm going to click on that. And then when you click on that, it allows you to do a few things like number 1, use credit report review to identify and tackle inaccuracies and collections. So let's click on that. Now it'll automatically identify what items are negative on your credit report. Now I have seen where some companies will change where their collections are actually listed. And instead of listing them as collections, they'll be listed under like a different part, or it'll say other. So like even here, it says 0 collections, like you'll notice that. And if I go to collections, it's not here. But if you scroll down to other accounts, again, sometimes this is what they do to try to trick how they're put on your credit report. You go to other accounts here and you can actually click on it. Now, you should already have this information because you already filled it out for your affidavit. So you already have the account number, you have the account name, you know exactly what this collection already is. Now it says this account is reported as a charge off, but again, I know that this account is a collection just because of how it's actually reported every single month. So I would click on how to repair. And it's going to give you some information here about what you can do, but let's just bypass that and let's go to start a dispute. Now, one more thing I want to point out, if you're ever confused about if an account is a collection on Ryezing.com, check the payment history and look at the legend. Now, if we scroll and look at the payment history here, this was something from 2020. And as you can see, it's marked COL. That would be your way to identify this as a collection account. But again, let's click on start dispute. You'll enter how many times you've actually tried to dispute this account. If it's 0, then just click 0 and then you'll click on next. Now, please select the reason you're disputing this account. Now you can say this account is inaccurate or this account is not mine. That's the reason that I'm going to use for this example. Now, can you give us more information? Please select the options that apply. I have no knowledge. I am not responsible for this account. this is my account. It belongs to a relative. So as you can see, there's plenty of options. There's also an option where you can do a custom dispute where you can just copy and paste it. But again, for this example, let's just scroll down and pick this account was opened fraudulently, and then we'll click on next. And now this is only with TransUnion because this collection only shows up on the TransUnion report. It will let you know here. Now we can actually enter the information that we want to add. Now, again, if you already did your affidavit, right, we already have that information, you can pretty much put the exact same thing that you would have filled out in the statement section. So that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I recently reviewed a copy of my credit report and was shocked to find that I have been a victim of identity theft. I don't recognize this account. Please remove this from my credit report. It's hurting my ability to obtain credit. Of course, you modify this how you see fit, and then I'm going to click on finish. Now my dispute has been drafted. So you can click on draft disputes. So now we have our dispute draft here, and what you'll want to do is generate dispute letter. Okay, so we're going to click on this, and then we're going to click continue. Now, once you do this, you're going to see a letter that's been generated. You can view it here, or you can click on this right here to download it. So I'm going to download this dispute letter, and then we're going to go over exactly what you do after that. Now, one thing I love about Ryezing is that it gives you all of the letter instructions. Okay, so it's going to say the dispute letter itself, right? You should add a copy of your driver's license, your proof of social security number, so a picture of that, and you want to also add your proof of residency. So all the things that we always talk about, you're going to make a copy of them. So you can take a picture of your driver's license, a picture of your social. You could use your bank statement. You could use your insurance. You could use your voter's registration card. You could use even a utility bill, a phone bill. Print that out, just the first page that has your actual residential address, and you'll want to put all of this together and you'll include it in this dispute. Now, this is an account that actually does belong to someone, so you're not going to see the very top of the letter, but at the top, it's going to have your name, your address, your date of birth, and your social. So all of that will already be at the top, and everything that we need, Ryezing will already put it right here for you. So I am writing to inform you of inaccuracies present on my credit report that require immediate attention. I have searched dispute templates available online, but rest assured this is self-generated. That way they can't say that this belongs to somebody else, right? And this warrants proper investigation as per the FCRA. So it has the account name with the account number. This account was opened fraudulently. I recently reviewed a copy of my credit report and was shocked to find that I have been, our verbiage that we already used. And then I request that you promptly delete any misleading information associated with the mentioned account. So all of that is done. All of that is already there. There's a name right here, but that would be your name. This is going to be blocked. So of course you won't see it. So if there's like a blur right here, that's because it's this individual's name. All right. So you will have all of that signed by you, completely done. So what you do is you print this out, you print out your affidavit, you also print out that picture of your driver's license, your social, and your proof of residency, and you're going to put this all in one letter, and you are going to mail this certified. All right. One thing that I do like about Ryezing that I'm aware of is that it will in the future give you the option to send these disputes online or through the app. So you will not have to always do this, but right now it only allows you to draft letters. All right. So that's what you will need to do in the meantime in order for you to actually get this sent. Now, if you wanted to ever change anything, then you can revert letter to drafts and you can actually go back in and add more information. Like, for example, if you wanted to say, oh, I also have an affidavit that I'm going to attach to here, they're going to see it. So it's not really like a big deal. But once you mail this out, whatever date you mail this letter certified, you will then want to click mark as sent. And then you'll want to pick the method. You can either do US mail or certified mail. I suggest doing it certified mail. Whatever date that you actually sent it, you'll want to click on that. And then you'll want to click on mark as sent. Now, when you mark this as sent, you'll actually see the letter in your dispute hub. All right. Once this account has been deleted, and again, times can vary. It used to be as fast as I would say, like it used to be a couple days, then it was 7 days. I would say at most it might take you like 3 weeks. But once this has actually been deleted from your credit report, you'll then want to click on add dispute results and then click confirm. And then results needed. you'll go ahead and say that the account has been updated or deleted rather. So delete it and then save the results, right? Once the results have been saved, you'll have a way to actually keep track of all of your disputes. So this is a very, very easy, very simple way for you to keep track, generate a letter, send it certified. And this is if for whatever reason you, let's say, couldn't use the CFPB. All right. I recommend using my first video. But again, if anything happens to the CFPB, this will be a way that works. And eventually, once again, on this website, you'll be able to send your disputes through here without having to send a letter. And when that update actually does happen, I will come back and make a new video showing you how to do that. Now, once you are done, it'll say completed and it'll say successful disputes won and then disputes completed 100%. So then you'll be able to see, okay, that one was taken care of. And if you have any other collections or anything else that you need to keep updated, come back to the dispute hub, update those. That way you have a record of exactly what happened. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. So if you got a successful deletion and you found Ryezing helpful, please drop that in the comments below. I would love to know your experience and how this has worked for you. And again, in the future, you will be able to send your disputes online through this website. I'll also make an updated video for charge-offs and late payments and stuff like that once that option does become available. If there's any other questions about this process or if I missed anything, please drop that in the comments below. I would be more than happy to assist you. Don't forget, you can sign up for a 7-day trial for $1 right now at the time of recording this video, and you'll get that in the description. I'll also link that previously in the video. And again, thank you so much for watching. Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through an updated method for removing third-party collection accounts from your credit report using the CFPB dispute process, and some things will be adjusted for how this will function in 2026. This is going to be a practical walkthrough of the process that we've done in the past based on consumer protection law and reporting requirements that credit bureaus are required to follow. Now, before we get into the steps, I need to make a few important disclosures so that there's no confusion. I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I am not a credit repair specialist, and I do not offer credit repair services. You cannot pay me to do this. I will not do that. If you email me, if you DM me, if you send me a message on Instagram, you will be ignored. Now, what I can do for you and what I am doing is sharing educational information based on my own experience and an explanation of how these systems operate when applied correctly. If you're new to the channel and you're here specifically for the collection removal process, then welcome. I really appreciate you watching this video. Drop a comment and I would like to welcome you personally to the channel, and understand that this works for a few very important reasons. This method applies specifically to third-party collection agencies that are reporting to your credit report. It does not apply to the original creditor or auto loans or installment loans or even charge-offs. This is not applying to the original lender. If you try to use this for an account that belongs to the original lender, it will not work. Those accounts follow different rules, different requirements, and different strategies. I will have another video on that coming out very soon, but do not try to apply this method to those accounts. Now, credit is not your entire financial journey, but it is often a gatekeeper to everything that comes next. As far as apartments, insurance rates, business funding, lending opportunities, a lot of this stuff is influenced by your credit report. That's why understanding how to properly review, challenge, and correct inaccurate or unverifiable information really does matter. And with that said, using this method should enable you to remove a collection from your credit report within around, I would say, 7 to even 30 days now, because it is a little bit longer. But the average that I'm still seeing to this day is around 7 days. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. The first step in this process is pulling your correct credit report. Now, you need a full consumer disclosure report that shows detailed information, reporting dates, and account numbers exactly as they are furnished by the bureaus. Now, I recommend doing this in 2 ways. Number 1, annualcreditreport.com. This is the only federally authorized source for your credit report, and this site allows you to pull your Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion reports directly from the source. However, these reports do not show your credit score. Now you can download each of these reports separately. Now do not assume the information is going to be the same across all bureaus, because in many cases it is not. Collection accounts often appear with different names, different account numbers sometimes. You need to pay attention to this and see how they're formatted. For example, the reported dates may not match. These differences matter because each bureau is legally responsible only for what it reports, not for what another bureau shows. As you review each report, you are looking specifically for third-party collections. You are not addressing the original creditor. I just want to make note of that again. Now, my second option for pulling your credit report when you're working on removing collections is Ryezing. Ryezing offers a $1 trial, and I'll link it in the description if you want to check that out. Now, what I like about Ryezing for this specific method is that it gives you a tri-merged credit report. A tri-merged credit report combines Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion data into one single, easy-to-read document, so you're not jumping back and forth between 3 different reports and trying to piece things together. And that matters a lot when you're disputing collections, because it allows you to review how the same account is being reported across all 3 bureaus at the same time. Ryezing also provides real-time dispute updates, so you're notified as soon as a collection account is updated or removed, instead of having to wait and manually check each bureau. That makes it much easier to track progress as well as review your updates on each credit score when this information is removed. All right, so if you're following along with me, you already have your report. You either got it from annualcreditreport.com or you have your report from Ryezing.com. It doesn't matter which one, but make sure that you have one of them. Now I'm going to give you an example from an old report and exactly what you need to look for. Now, as you can see, this is my report. This is a collection that I had that was reporting. As you review each report, you are looking specifically for third-party collection accounts, and notice on this account you can see it says debt buyer account, and the code on the account simply has the letter C. That would normally signify a collection. Now this may look different for TransUnion and it might look different for Experian, but once again, you'll look for something similar. And when you're looking for that, just remember you'll identify these accounts when they've been placed or sold to a collection agency. And for each collection account, you need to write down the following information. You will need the name as it appears on the credit report, and you want to put the name exactly as it appears. So for this one that we're looking at, it says Spring Oaks Capital, LLC. It's very clear cut. It's very straightforward. You need to list it exactly as it appears. You also want to enter the account number as it appears, including whatever you see that is masked, okay? So for example, where you see the asterisk right here on the screen, like it shows 1*8806, that's exactly what you would put. That is the full account number. I get asked that question all the time. That is the full account number. You don't need to find out what those numbers are. If they have X's by them, if it's several X's, write it down exactly as it appears on the report. You'll also add the date the account was opened. Here it is, September 29th, 2022. You need to make sure that you have that information. You also want to have the date it was last reported, and you also want to have the highest balance listed. Now, this is very important. If the same collection appears on all 3 credit reports, but the account name, account number is different on each one, you will need to treat these separately, which means you'll have to dispute them separately, not together. All right, so if the account number and name is different on Experian, it's different on Equifax, it's different on TransUnion, then you will need to do this method 3 separate times. However, if the information is the exact same, you can actually do one dispute, or rather one affidavit that we're going to produce, and then you could send that to all 3 bureaus, and you only have to do it once. This is not optional. This is not something that you want to shortcut. So if you see that the account number is the same for all 3 bureaus, but the name is slightly different, like maybe it says Spring Oaks Cap, just CAP, but not capital LLC, and then you put the name with the capital LLC and it doesn't come off of, let's say, TransUnion, that is the reason why. There's a lot of reasons why this will not work if you don't do it exactly as it appears on your credit report. So please keep that in mind. Accuracy is critical in this process, and once you've gathered all this information and it's organized for each bureau, you are ready to move on to the next step, which will be creating an affidavit on the FTC website, and that's what we're going to do next. Now, before we go over to the FTC site, I want to pause here for one moment, because the goal of these updated videos is to train you to not copy scripts or follow instructions blindly, The goal is to help you understand where the authority actually comes from, so you're not dependent on YouTube or templates or personalities to try and solve problems that are rooted in law. Your right to dispute inaccurate or unverifiable information does not come from a website, it doesn't come from a complaint portal, and it doesn't come from a specific agency. It comes from federal law, specifically the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which governs how consumer information can be collected, reported, and maintained. And that distinction matters because systems change, platforms get redesigned, and response times will eventually fluctuate. Now, you need to understand that when it comes to collections, the underlying obligation does not disappear just because a process becomes slower or a portal looks different. The law still requires that consumer reporting be accurate and verifiable. Now, at its core, the Fair Credit Reporting Act is built on a simple principle. If information is being reported about you, it must be accurate, or at least as accurate as humanly possible. And if its accuracy is challenged, it must be reasonably investigated. And if the reporting party cannot support the information with proper verification, it cannot continue to be reported as fact. Now, a lot of people overcomplicate this, and I understand it's not like you guys want to be doing this. You don't care about being a credit repair specialist. I don't either. But I understand just enough that I can interpret what the law is, so I understand exactly what I'm doing. So your responsibility as a consumer is to identify what is inaccurate, incomplete, inconsistent, and you're going to provide a reasonable basis for why you believe that information should be investigated. Now, when it comes to third-party collections, and there's a reason why I put so much emphasis on third-party collections, these people have to actually prove that you actually owe them something. Now, I've done this in several videos. I've broken this down so many times. If you guys want to look at past videos, then you can. But the FCRA will tell you exactly what you can and you can't do, and why a lot of the stuff that happens with credit reporting, a lot of it ends up being illegal. And a lot of what's going on is fraudulent activity. Again, it's defined by the law, but if you don't understand it, then it's not going to make sense unless you look this stuff up. All right. Now, with that said, I will be leaving a link in the description with the FCRA. If you want to check it out, then you can. But let's move on to the next step. So currently we are on identitytheft.gov. This is the first place that you're going to go to create an affidavit. You will start by clicking on Report Identity Theft. You will then click on Yes. You will always select credit card account. It does not matter if this was a collection for a utility or a credit card or a different account. Always select credit card. Do not choose any other option. This will be the option that you select. Then you'll click on to open credit card account, and then you'll click on continue, and then you will also hit continue again. That will bring us to step number 1, and that's going to be what company or bank issued the credit card. Once again, it does not matter if it's a credit card. Use this same option. And we are just going to paste in our information. That's the easiest way that you can do this. You will then pick the date that you first noticed the problem. The date will always be whatever month and year that you're currently in. So if we're in January of 2026, that's when you notice the problem. Now, do you know when the account was opened? Well, we know that it was September of 2022. That's what we got from the report. And the amount, I believe, was $1,160. If it's not exact, then I'm sorry. I'm just doing this off of memory. And then it was, I believe, asterisk, but we can't use an asterisk, so you can use an X. If it appears on your credit report as an asterisk, it's okay for you to use an X. And I believe it was 8806. That was the last 4 of the account. Now I'm going to click add, and you will see the account right here. Now, if you need to add more than one account that's currently on your credit report, you would then add the account name here, same thing that we did exactly, the account number, and then you would click on add another account. And you would keep doing this until you hit the limit. And if you do have more than, let's say, whatever the limit is, I think it was like either 3 to 5. If you hit that limit, then you can go ahead and create another one of these and submit a separate report. All right, moving on, we're going to go down and hit continue. Now, this is where you're going to enter your first name, your last name, your phone number, your email address, your date of birth, your current mailing address. It should match the mailing address on your driver's license because you will need to submit your identification documents. All right. How long have you lived there? And then these 2 options, they will stay no. Just keep the default no. The other thing that I want to mention that I've seen people have problems with, They have an issue when they submit this several times. If you submit multiple of these, you may run into an issue where you cannot receive a verification code. The options to fix this is to clear the cache and history in your web browser, try to connect to a different internet. You can also try to use a different web browser altogether. Try to use Google Chrome, or try to use Safari, or try to use Firefox, like use something different. And if all else fails, use a different device. I believe it has something to do with the IP address using the same web browser so many times. So worst case, if you're on your laptop, try it on your phone. And then if, all else fails, use a different phone number. If you don't have a different phone number, that's fine. Wait like 3 days or so, come back, you will be able to do it again. Now for suspect information, you're going to select no, not at this time, and then you're going to click on continue. Now we are on step number 4, additional information. Have you reviewed a copy of your credit report? Yes, you have. Were there any fraudulent accounts in your report? Yes, there was. Was any personal information wrong in your report? You could just put none, not at this time. This is where you would do inquiries, but we're not doing that. That's a separate video. And have you requested a fraud alert? Everything else is just going to be no. No, not yet. No, not yet. No, and no. And then you're going to click on continue. All right. And then moving into step number 5, your personal statement. Now, this is where you just talk about what happened. And for this one, just use your own verbiage, but I just did something very simple. I reviewed a copy of my credit report. I noticed an account that I don't recognize. Please remove this from my credit report as soon as possible. Very short, very simple. That is going to be it. And if you want, you can actually copy this right now, because you're going to need this later on when you actually submit this through the CFPB. Now, before you submit anything, you will have the opportunity to actually review this document. Now, here's what I recommend. You want to make sure that all the information matches. Your name needs to match what's on your driver's license. Your address needs to match. I would use your primary phone number, and then I would use your primary email address. You want to use that information. If it's not that, then I highly recommend that you go ahead and you update that now. Now, you want to make sure that the company or organization will be the collection. You want to make sure the account number is exactly as you see it on your credit report, and then that the date that you see matches what's on your credit report. And then the date of discovery should be whatever month and year you are currently in, with the actual amount that's the highest balance. All right. As long as all that information is there, you have done this correctly. Now, when you get to this section, you want to submit this without creating an account. So say no thanks, submit without an account, and then again, submit without an account, and then hit continue. Now, once you have done this, you should get the option to download this report. You will download this as a PDF file. Now, once you've downloaded that, you can save it to your desktop. And now we're going to move on to the CFPB. All right, so currently we are on the CFPB website. What you'll want to do is scroll down and look for start a new complaint. Now, if you've done this in the past, then you should already have an account with them. If you do not, fill out this information and create an account. And again, I would create it with the same email that you're using for your dispute. Now, once you've done this, in the top right-hand corner, you should see the submit a complaint. It'll be a blue button. That should take you to this screen, to step 1 of submitting a complaint. Now, you'll want to go to credit reporting. Then you'll want to scroll down for the type of credit reporting product, and it's going to, of course, be credit report. And then we'll move on to the next step. And then for step number 2, you're going to click on incorrect information on your credit report, and then which one of these best would describe your problem. Information belongs to someone else. Have you tried to fix this with the company? Yes. Did you request information from the company? Yes. This section is optional. You don't have to fill it out. Did the company provide this information? No. And then click on next. Okay, now we're on step number 3. Now you're just putting what happened. Very simple, guys. Just copy and paste what we already put in our personal statement. Really easy. I mean, if you want to add the account information here, just to reiterate, then you can add, like, for my example, Spring Oaks LLC, and then, put the account number if you want to add that, but it kind of doesn't matter. And then for the resolution, it's kind of the exact same, right? Because you already put it in the personal statement. You're asking that the account be removed as soon as possible. So now that you've done this, the next thing that you want to do is attach your documents. Now, this is very important. You need to attach your driver's license, okay? It needs to be an updated driver's license. Your name should match the address that you have. everywhere. It's on your credit report. That should all match. Please make sure it does. If not, you may have issues. The other thing that you'll need is a copy of your social. You want to take a picture of it and you can crop it and then you can send it to your computer. Add that as a document here. You will also need some type of proof of residency. That could be a utility bill. It could be a bank statement. It could be car insurance, voter registration card. It could be your internet bill. It could be your phone bill. You need some proof of residency, okay? And then the last thing that you'll want to add is a screenshot of the actual account. You need to show them the actual account that you're disputing on your credit report, and it should be the one that matches the bureau. Now, I do want to tell you one thing here, please keep this in mind. If the information is different, then I would submit this separately. So I would submit one for Experian, I would submit one for Equifax, and then I would submit one separately for TransUnion so that you can show the account that's actually with that corresponding bureau. Now, if the information is the same, again, if the name is the same, if the account number is the same, if everything is the exact same, it doesn't matter which one you put. Or you could take your Ryezing report and put the tri-merged one. All right. But you just want to make sure that you're actually showing the one that corresponds with the bureau that you're trying to dispute. That is very important because I see a lot of times that people do this. They end up using the wrong screenshot and they wonder why it doesn't get removed. Okay, now we're finally going to enter the company that we're complaining about. So again, if all the information matches, you can just type in Experian. That's going to come right up. This one in all caps is perfectly fine. You'll go ahead and check everything here. Your social, your name as it appears on your report, your date of birth. You want to enter all that information right here, okay? So just enter all this information and then the name as it appears on the report. Do you want to complain about another company? Once again, if all the information matches, you can actually submit one complaint and it will go to all three bureaus. If the information is different, then you may have separate affidavits and you may have to submit this for each bureau separately. But again, in a best case scenario, everything matches. Name, account number is the same for all bureaus. All right, let's say yes. And then we'll enter, let's do TransUnion next. All right, TransUnion comes up. Have you already tried to fix this? Yes. Did you request information from the company? Yes. Did the company provide this information? No. And then same exact thing, guys, just repeat the same exact steps. And you want to enter your name exactly as it appears on your report. Now we can only put up to 3 companies. So that works out in this situation. Yes, we want to complain about our final company, which will be Equifax. All right, so we have Equifax here. Have you already tried to fix this? Yes. Did you request information? Yes, no. And then check everything here, all these options, and then we'll enter it in once more. And then we'll enter, date of birth, name as it appears on the report. Sometimes the name will appear differently on each report, so keep that in mind. You should probably just put the name that's actually on your driver's license. That's going to be like the easiest way to make sure that it's accurate. Now we have all 3 disputes for all 3 bureaus. Perfect. We will now click on next. All right, and this is probably going to be the last section because after I submit this, it's just going to be a review, and then if you're going to submit the complaint, I don't need to do this, so I will not be moving on to that next step. But make sure that in step 5, you always select myself. If you select someone else, like if you're doing this on behalf of someone, which I don't recommend, you need to let people do this for themselves, then they will throw this out as frivolous. You cannot try to submit this on someone's behalf. It needs to be the actual individual submitting this, okay? So you'll select that, then you'll review the information, and then you'll be able to submit this. Make sure when you go back to the CFPB, you see all 3 complaints have been submitted for each bureau. And then once again, this method still works. You'll probably have to wait anywhere between 7 to even up to 30 days to actually see that the accounts have been deleted. And this should take care of your collections if you submitted this properly and you actually made sure that all the information matched. There wasn't anything that was, any discrepancy. It just has become a little bit more meticulous when you submit the information. Everything has to match. All right, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Now, as you approach the end of this process, it is important to step back and understand what actually just happened. When an account cannot be properly verified or supported by adequate records, it can legally be removed from your credit report, and that's what happens with third-party collections. Now, this does not erase legitimate debts that you still owe, all right? It prevents creditors from maybe reporting this, but if you are sued by a collection company, I have an entire video that's going to actually address that. I'm going to link that video right here. I want to also state that this does not replace having good financial behavior moving forward. What it does ensure is that your credit report reflects good information. However, if you still have bad credit habits that led to this is not a permanent fix. You will end up eventually having the same results. And if this method does not work in the future, you'll still have to follow another process based on the FCRA in order to get that collection account removed. However, the most important thing is that you actually practice good financial habits. This will help with a credit report reporting accurate information, but it does not replace bad financial habits. You need to understand that. That's a mentality that has to change. Once your disputes are resolved, your next step should be maintaining sustainability. This means continuing to pay current accounts on time, keeping your balances within reasonable limits, and avoiding unnecessary credit applications. Stability will allow the improvements that you made to actually translate into better opportunities. And if collections were removed, you may see gradual improvements in your credit profile over the following weeks or months. Now, these changes are not always immediate. And what I mean by that is, even if you remove negative information from your credit report, if you have no positive account history, then your credit score may not change that much. If some collections remain on your report, that does not mean that you wasted your time. You can go ahead and submit an investigation for that account, and then you can ask them from a method of verification. That's the exact same other way that people get collections removed. This method is just more straightforward, it's faster, but you can always just submit my round 1 and round 2 charge-off removal process. It works the exact same way, just takes a little bit more steps. But again, improving your income, managing your expenses, building a savings, and learning how to deploy capital strategically, that all matters. Credit simply determines how easily you can access certain tools along the way. And throughout this entire process, the most valuable skill that you developed was attention to detail. And that skill will apply far beyond credit disputes. It applies to contracts, lending terms, business agreements, and financial decisions of all kinds. Now, for those of you who took the time to watch the entire walkthrough, I appreciate your patience and your attention. This information is most effective when it's understood and not rushed through. So use this knowledge responsibly, stay forward, keep focused on your long-term progress rather than short-term wins. And thank you guys for watching. You have a wonderful day. Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. Now, today, I'm going to be showing you a step-by-step method to remove late payments from your credit report. And this time, I'm going to be showing you how to do this through Ryezing.com. Now, this will not require you to call the creditors. It will not require you to write a goodwill letter. This is a documentation-based approach that will focus on inaccurate reporting and inconsistent reporting across the 3 bureaus. Now, I've already done a few updates for 2026. The previous updates did involve the CFPB. However, last year, the CFPB funding was severely cut by nearly 50%. This happened in a July 2025 budget bill, and it significantly reduced the operating budget from roughly $785 million to $446 million, and this sparked a lot of turmoil and layoffs, and it halted enforcement action from the CFPB. However, through all of that, the CFPB is still open and you can dispute through them, but I did want to give you an alternative method in case the CFPB is no longer active. But I do want to preface this by saying platforms can change, but the rules have not changed. The way that you process a dispute will still be the exact same way. Now, on-time payment history accounts for 35% of your overall credit score. That is one of the biggest factors impacting your credit score to date, and that is the reason why we focus on getting these updated. Because, for example, like I gave this one, if you had a perfect credit score, an 850 credit score, it could potentially drop your score by 100 points just by having a single late payment, and that is significant. Not to mention that it will stay on your credit report for up to 7 years. However, the impact starts to lessen after around 2 years. So if you do want to get your late payments updated, this will be a great method for you to do so. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. Now, just like our previous video, let's talk about where you're getting your credit report from. Now, my first recommendation, as always, will be annualcreditreport.com. This is the only source authorized by federal law, and that's for you to receive all 3 of your credit reports completely free, at least at the time of recording this video. You can do that once per week. Now, my other recommendation is going to be with Ryezing.com. And since this will be the tool that we're using for this dispute, just by having Ryezing, you already get that information as far as payment history. But I will say that annualcreditreport.com is the most accurate that you can possibly get. So I highly recommend still getting that, especially because it is free. Ryezing does have a tri-merge credit report that combines all your credit information from all 3 major credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. It's going to be all in a single comprehensive document. It does make it easier to review your accounts and show the credit bureaus that information is inaccurate. It also has a trial option for $1, similar to what people have done with Identity IQ. So if you want it long enough to sing your disputes, then definitely go check it out, grab that. However, I think you'll find that this will be something that you'll be using long term, especially when it comes to your disputes. Either way, the goal is the same. You just want a clean, comprehensive way to review your credit reports. But if you do want to use Ryezing, because that will be the primary tool for this method to work, then I highly recommend that you check it out. There will be a link in the description for a $1 7-day trial. Then it will go to the standard price of $39.99. I'm going to be using a screenshot from Ryezing.com, and this will be from an old report. Now, once you sign into Ryezing, you'll be able to see 3 different payment histories. Now, it doesn't always show all 3, which is why I recommend using a combination of this and annualcreditreport.com, but this is really what you want to look for. Credit reporting is supposed to be accurate and consistent, but sometimes you'll look at reports just like this and you'll see where one bureau says the account was 30 days late in one month and then it was paid on time in a different month. So for example, on this one, it actually shows that the account was paid on time for Equifax, but for TransUnion, it shows 60 days late. That does not make any sense. So now I've got 2 different bureaus telling me 2 different stories on the same account. Now that is insane. No matter where you're looking at this, it should be the same exact information being reported. You can't be 60 days late on one report and then somehow be paid on time on another. Now that inconsistency that we're looking at, that is leverage. So what you're going to do is locate the late payment on the account and compare it to the reporting month by month across the bureaus. You're looking for anything that does not line up exactly the same way. Once you see the mismatch, you need to capture your proof correctly, because the entire dispute is built around showing that the reporting is inconsistent. Now, when you take your screenshot or you download it from the report page, make sure that it is visible and you can actually see this. So in this example, I did a screenshot, but then I also did another screenshot and made it smaller, and then I circled it. And in the screenshot, you want to make sure that it shows the creditor's name, so it's obvious which account that you're talking about, the account number as well, the payment history grid, which is shown right here, and then ideally you want the bureaus labeled so that it's very clear and obvious what you're disputing. So if you're using a platform like Ryezing that shows all 3 bureaus side by side, that's perfect because it makes your evidence clear in one image. If you're using Annual Credit Report, that's fine too. Again, it is the most accurate, but you may have to just use multiple screenshots from each bureau. And yes, it's okay for you to circle the mismatch. You can highlight it, you can mark it. The goal is to make it impossible for someone who's reviewing this information to pretend like they didn't see what you're pointing out. You're building a simple visual argument. This month being reported differently, therefore the reporting is not reliable, therefore it needs to be corrected. And then we're going to use something simple for the verbiage, like this payment is being reported inconsistently compared to other consumer reporting agencies. I have reason to believe the reporting is inaccurate. Please correct the reporting to correct on-time payments. So that's what you're going to say. Now, let's say you only had this one late payment. If Equifax updates this to paid on time, the new reality is that your Equifax is completely clean. Now you can take that updated information and then send this to TransUnion and say, hey, TransUnion, they actually show for here Equifax as this month is paid on time. You're wrong. Please update this to paid never late. So when you do this over and over again, you'll eventually keep doing it until all of your late payments have been changed to paid on time. So you're essentially building a chain reaction. So step 1 is getting one bureau to flip. And then for step 2, you can use that flip bureau as proof against the remaining bureaus and then keep getting them changed. This is one of the most effective ways to remove a late payment when the reporting doesn't match, because you're not asking them to do you a favor. You're telling them your own system is not aligning. Now, I've done this already, showing you how to do this through the CFPB. I'll probably link that video at the end of this one, but I just wanted to make sure that I showed you the process of how to do this from Ryezing.com. So let's go ahead and let's submit our dispute. So currently we are on www.ryezing.com. If you already have an account, then just scroll to the top and click on login. And of course, like I've been saying in the previous videos, depending on the time that you're watching this, it should be available in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. If you're watching this in like the very beginning of May, you may see it in like the next 2 weeks or so, but just double check, it should be there. If not, you can always come to the website and you can actually log in right here. Now, if you haven't signed up, you want to click on Get Started. You'll be asked to create your account. You'll enter your first name, last name. I would use your primary email address as well as your password and your current address. You should be at that address in the last 6 months or more. It looks for your most recent address to identify you, so that's very important. Now, when you do this, it should show your order summary as the preferred trial. That's 7 days for $1, then $39.99 per month. And then you agree and you click on Next. And once again, when you sign up, you should have the options of Google Play, App Store, or if you don't see that option yet, it will be coming, then go to login at the very top on the website. Once you do that, you will enter your username, which should be your email address, and then the password that you created upon sign up. Now, once you log in, you'll be brought to the dashboard, and the first thing that you'll want to do is look at your credit report review. You can also see the score factors here, but we're looking for let's go to negative accounts and then credit report review. And then we're going to find our account that has that late payment. All right, so I did find our account. So let's take a look at this right here. As we can see, it has an on-time payment in September of 2022, but a late payment right here, and same thing in September of 2022. So we know that this right here is an obvious inaccuracy. Both of these can't be true, as well as the same thing here with January. Like we can see, January of 2023, it's reporting paid on time, but it's also showing 60 days late. Even more so here, how can this actually be paid on time and then 60 days late? So lots of inaccuracies here that we have to work with. So now let's click on Start Dispute. Now, the first thing that you're going to be asked is, have you disputed this same issue before? We have not, so we're going to put 0, and then we're going to click on Next. And then we're going to select this account is inaccurate, and then we're going to click on Next. And then we're going to leave this option, inaccurate information needs to be corrected, but let's also select the payment history rating is incorrect. Let's add that, and then we'll click on Next. And then right here, it says add specific comments for the bureaus. So we can click here and paste our verbiage in there. This payment is being reported inconsistently compared to other consumer reporting agencies, and I have reason to believe the reporting is inaccurate. Please correct the reporting to reflect an on-time payment. And then let's add a few more details here. So I just added some quick verbiage here where I added TransUnion states this account was paid 60 days late in September of 2022. However, experience shows the account was paid on time. Please update this account TransUnion to reflect paid on time as the Experian report is stating. So very simple, very straightforward. Again, I know this is going to be different for you, but all you have to do is say something along those lines. Like it's very easy for you to look at your report, see that, and then add that information. And then we can click on Finish. And then we're going to click on Draft Disputes. And then we're going to click on Generate Dispute Letter, and then Continue. Now, I do want to point one thing out here. It just made this dispute. However, it made one for TransUnion and Experian because that's the bureaus that are both reporting this late payment. However, what you need to do is actually adjust these, all right? It won't actually do it automatically on Ryezing. So for example, I'm sending this to TransUnion for sure to get the late payments updated. Experian already reporting on time, so no need for me to actually send this one to Experian, as that's not what I'm trying to dispute. So in this case, you can kind of disregard that, but it'll automatically generate a dispute for each of the bureaus. But I'll show you how you can mark this one as like verified, as accurate, and then just move on. But let's take a look at our TransUnion letter. Now, this information will be blocked out, right, for this individual, but it will show your name, your address, your date of birth. It'll have your full social. It'll also have the bureau's address that you're sending this to. Now, I really want to clarify this just to make sure that everyone understands me. You need to send a copy of your driver's license, your social security card, a picture of that. You also need to send your proof of address. All of this needs to be included with this letter. Now, at the time of recording this video on Ryezing.com, it generates the letters for you. In the future, which should be, I think, in the next couple of weeks, you should be able to send your disputes online through this platform. But for now, you want to send this in the form of a letter. It'll already make it for you. You print this out, you attach all of your personal information, your driver's license, your social security card, a picture of that, your proof of address. All of this goes into the same letter with this information as well. Now we have dispute 1, the account that we're disputing, and inaccurate information needs to be corrected. The payment history or rating is incorrect. So right here, now this is what I put. The payment is being reported inconsistently compared to other consumer reporting agencies, and I have reason to believe the reporting is inaccurate. Please correct the reporting to reflect an on-time payment. TransUnion states this account was paid 60 days late in September of 2022, or you can say not paid, but TransUnion states that this account was 60 days late in September of 2022. However, Experian shows the account was paid on time. Please update this account TransUnion to reflect paid on time as the Experian report is stating. All right, so that's pretty much all that we need to state. And again, you need to adjust this to whatever it would be for you. Take a look at your report, and then you'll be able to see exactly what doesn't make sense. And then you want to take a picture of that or a screenshot that will also be included in your letter. Now, when the time comes and you can send this through Ryezing.com, you can upload all this information and it'll be sent. But for now, print out the letter, driver's license, the picture or copy of your social security card, your proof of address, a screenshot actually showing the inconsistent information, and then you will send it all in one letter. Now, when you're actually ready to send this letter off, you want to click on Mark as Sent, all right? And you can choose whether you did US mail or certified mail. Again, in the future, there will be an option for you to send this off, so the option will probably be a little bit different. So let's just say certified mail, the day that you sent it, and then mark as sent. Now it'll automatically mark the Experian one. Again, we're not sending that in this situation, but it always generates all the letters that are associated, all right? So it's like an automatic thing, don't worry about it. You can add the results for this, and you can just say, like, let's just say that it was updated, right? And the dispute was corrected. Let's just say that, because we already have an on-time payment for Experian in this scenario. Now back to TransUnion. Once this one has actually been updated, you can add your results, you can confirm, and then you can actually say, okay, this account was updated, information was changed, updated. And then if I were you, I would just put like the date. Like if it took you until the 30th of May, let's just say the 30th of May 2026, account was updated to paid, never late in September of 2022. I just like having all of this information, so that way you can keep track of when disputes were actually done, what the result was, and then you can save the result. Now, I will be making another video where, let's say for late payments, the inaccuracies don't quite match up, like everything is consistent across the board. I've already made that video showing you how to send that through the CFPB. As I've been doing with all my videos, I will make a new one that will show you how to do that with Ryezing.com. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, please drop those in the comments below. Be more than happy to assist you with that. I will probably link that other video at the end of this one just so that you have both, because in that video I give a little more detail about the FCRA and some other examples. And I believe the other example that I had was either could have been from Ryezing, Identity IQ, or annualcreditreport.com, but I just want to put these all in the same place so it's easy for you to see different ways that you can dispute these late payments. And as always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video, and you have a wonderful day. Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. Today, I'm going to show you step by step how to remove late payments from your credit report. And this will not require you to call, and it will not require you to write a goodwill letter. This will be a documentation-based approach that will focus on inaccurate reporting and inconsistent reporting across the 3 credit bureaus. Last year, I updated this method, and I will say since last year, that method has become outdated. We will now be sending a dispute through the CFPB once again, but I also want to make sure that I tell you, because some people, I would get comments where they would say this method doesn't work, I'm not able to submit this. Once again, all of the methods that I have on my channel, they will always work because they are based on the FCRA, that is the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which we will talk about once again. If it does not work for the mode to send this, then you can always send a letter certified. I just have to reiterate that. And again, I'm going to always say that I've gotten several comments asking me to update this. So because I've been asked so many times, I am willing to do this once more for you. Now, last year, the CFPB funding was severely cut by nearly 50%. That was in a July 2025 budget bill. That significantly reduced the operating budget from roughly $785 million to $446 million, sparking major turmoil and layoffs. It halted enforcement action, as well as the current administration trying to not only weaken the CFPB, but they seek to eliminate it entirely. However, the CFPB is still open. It's still my main mode for disputing, and you can still submit your disputes with them as well. This to me is the best route. It's the most successful, and it's the least demanding. But the reason I'm making this video is because, once again, things change. Sometimes rules get updated with the CFPB. However, you don't have to wait for me. You don't have to wait for anybody else. So once again, I'm going to show you the method where the CFPB can be used, but always keep in mind, if that option is no longer available to you, you can always just send letters certified. On-time payments account for 35% of your overall credit score. In fact, on-time payments is the biggest factor impacting your credit score to date. If you had a perfect 850 credit score and you had one late payment report 30 days late, that could effectively drop your credit score somewhere around 100 points. And that will stay on your credit report for up to 7 years. So without further ado, let's get into the steps that you can take to remove late payments from your credit report in the fastest method possible. So first and foremost, let's discuss where you're getting your credit report from. We want to make sure that you're getting the most accurate information that is crucial to this method working properly. So my first recommendation is annualcreditreport.com. Annualcreditreport.com is the only source authorized by federal law. They authorize you to receive all 3 of your credit reports. And at the time of recording this video, and I think this might be an ongoing thing because I've been saying this for like the last 2 years, you can pull your report once per week, which does make it easier for you to track your updates while you're disputing. Again, that can be subject to change, which is why I'm also going to be giving you a second recommendation. Now, my other recommendation is Ryezing.com. You can start a trial for $1. The link will be in the description. Now, Ryezing is a credit monitoring service with a credit simulator. And the reason why I like Ryezing for this method is because it provides you with a tri-merged credit report. A tri-merged credit report combines your credit information from all 3 major bureaus: Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. It will put it into one single comprehensive document, and that makes it very easy for you to review your accounts and show the credit bureaus the information that is inaccurate. You'll also receive real-time updates on your disputes, and you will be notified when these late payments are removed when you use Ryezing. That is something that you cannot do with annualcreditreport.com. It also has that trial period option for $1. So if you just want to use it long enough to grab that report, then that would be excellent. You can screenshot things and then complete this process as soon as possible. Now, if you don't want to spend anything, you can absolutely use annualcreditreport.com, but I do recommend using Ryezing so everything is organized. Either way, the goal is the same. You want a clean, readable view of the payment history for the account that you'll be disputing this late payment on. Now, I'm going to be using an old screenshot for an example. Once you're signed into Ryezing.com or you have your annual credit report, you're going to look for something like this. You'll be able to see 3 different payment histories. Now, credit reports are supposed to be accurate and consistent. That is the one thing that you are promised as a consumer. Not that it's 100% accurate, but it is as accurate as it can possibly be. But sometimes credit bureaus will receive conflicting information, like the example that we're looking at right here. So if we take a look at this report, you can see that in February of 2020, TransUnion had a 30-day late payment, Experian had a 30-day late payment, and Equifax had a payment on time. And then we look at January, and then we see that TransUnion is paid on time, Experian is paid on time, and Equifax is actually late. So just by looking at this report, you can see exactly how this information is highly inaccurate. It's not consistent. It should be the same if we're receiving information from the same source. This is what we're going to be using to dispute this account and get these late payments updated. So here's what you would do with your Ryezing credit report. You would find this and you would circle it just like I did on the example, and you would say something like, hey, Equifax, I'm looking at my credit report and I noticed that there's inconsistencies in the information. I'm actually paid on time in January of 2020. TransUnion has the correct information, Experian has the correct information, but your report is inaccurate. It's showing that I was 30 days late. Can you please update this information so it reflects that this payment was in fact paid on time? Now, I just freestyle that, right? It was off the top of my head, but I'm going to give you some verbiage that you can use in this video. The point that you need to make is, hey, these 2 bureaus say the same thing. You're saying something that's wrong. More than likely, here's what will happen. Equifax will update this late payment and make it paid on time. Once that happens, Equifax will have everything paid on time for all of the months that are shown here. Now, notice with this report, there are some white spots. That's because you usually won't see the full payment history. That's the great thing about annualcreditreport.com. But when you're using other things like Ryezing, Identity IQ, things like that, they will actually show once the report is late. And that's really what we need. So I wouldn't worry about that. That's not too important. Then once Equifax updates all of this information, you will have a full Equifax credit report with no late payments. You will then use the same report and say, hey, Experian, hey, TransUnion, my Equifax report actually shows that I had this paid on time in February, but you're reporting 30 days late. Equifax is right and you're wrong. Can you please update this information so that it accurately reflects my credit report that's shown with Equifax? More than likely, they will update it as well. Now, once that happens, you have fully updated all of your late payments. Now, of course, there is another scenario where you don't have these inconsistencies. I will be updating a method for that. And then the other thing I'll be doing new this year, I will have a third and probably fourth. It's not really a difference in method, but just some new examples that you can use that I have seen worked over the last few months. Now, the reason why I'm starting with this method is because it is, in my opinion, the most effective way to update late payments. Now, I don't recommend that you dispute more than 1 late payment at a time. 2 would be the most. 2 would be pushing it. I've just noticed that you receive more late payment updates when you only dispute 1 month at a time. Then once that 1 month has been updated, you can dispute the next month. So getting late payments updated, while not being all that difficult, it can be very tedious. So once again, depending on at the time that I release this video, if you don't have these inconsistencies, it is okay. There is another method for you. So now, if you've been following along with this, again, you should have a credit report from Ryezing or annualcreditreport.com. You should find these inconsistencies if they're available. If you see them, please circle them and then take a screenshot of your credit report. If you're using Annual Credit Report and you have multiple reports, that's okay. You can screenshot all three and just circle the inconsistencies. It works the exact same way. There's no problem with that. Now, before we actually go and submit this dispute to get these late payments updated, I want to talk to you about the FCRA. Now, as you guys know, I don't always update these credit repair videos because I'm not a financial advisor. This is not a credit repair channel, and I honestly did not want it to be known as a credit repair channel. So while I know that it's a problem for a lot of people, I don't want to hyper focus on it just because I don't want to get boxed into that particular category. But I do think that it is so very important that you understand what the Fair Credit Reporting Act is. This is a federal law that protects your consumer rights, and it protects you from inaccurate, unfair, or intrusive credit reporting. It also regulates how consumer reporting agencies collect, use, and share consumer information. This is the foundation of your rights. If you want to dispute inaccurate information, you need to understand how this works. This is why even if some complaint portals change, or the CFPB stops working, or the BBB stops working, or the FTC is down, it doesn't matter. You can just send letters. That will never change unless something happens where the post office is no longer working. You will be able to always send a letter certified mail. What matters most is that you understand your rights. There is no hack. There is no trick. There is nothing like that. Most people just literally repeat what they've heard that other people have said from this. I have done it myself. I read it, I interpreted it, and then I was able to come up with other ideas and methods for some disputes. And I guess the thing that people like is my interpretations and how I interpreted the law, and they've seen some good results from that. But the core idea is so simple. Consumer reporting has to be accurate, and if you notify any reporting agency or any creditor that the information is inaccurate, they have a legal obligation to investigate and correct that information if it can't be supported properly. And the burden of proof is not on the consumer. I just think that is, once you understand your rights, you understand that like you guys don't have to prove anything to these people. You're required to identify what's inaccurate and provide a reasonable basis for why you believe that it's inaccurate. In this specific method, your reasonable basis is that there's inconsistencies across the bureau. That's the whole play of what we're doing here. You're not trying to be a lawyer, you're just trying to become effective. So currently we are on ftc.gov. I'm going to put a link in the description. This will take you directly to the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And I want to scroll down and show you just a few things here before we proceed. Now, there are different ways that you can dispute information on your credit report, and notice everything is actually right here. For example, the permissible purpose of consumer reports. That's something that you might want to look up. Block of information resulting from identity theft. All right. Adverse information in cases of trafficking. You probably have seen people talk about that. Disclosure of investigative consumer reports. Notice how when I talk about some disputes, I say that we have to do a reinvestigation for charge-offs. We have to ask them, hey, I want you to disclose the investigation. How did you do that? Who did you speak with? That's something that they have to provide. But I'm going to scroll down because I know exactly which part that I want to look at, and that is the responsibilities of furnishers of information to consumer reporting agencies. And then we could just click on that and it'll take us exactly to that section. Now, right here, this is very, very important. Now, the duty of furnishers of information is to provide accurate information. Now, reporting information with actual knowledge of errors. A person shall not furnish any information relating to a consumer to any consumer reporting agency if the person knows or has reasonable cause to believe that information is inaccurate. So you don't have to even have like a perfect case here. You just have to have reasonable cause to believe that something can be inaccurate. So if I pull up a copy of 3 credit reports and the information between all 3 of these reports is different, do I not have a reasonable cause to believe that this may be inaccurate? Because if it's different, clearly someone has to be wrong. I would say that that is reasonable to ask for an investigation. Now, reporting information after notice and confirmation of errors, a person shall not furnish information relating to a consumer to any consumer reporting agency if the person has been notified by the consumer at the address specified by the person for such notices, which is why I tell you to remove all personal information and make sure all the information matches on your driver's license, on your credit report, everywhere, your proof of address, your proof of residency, all that needs to match, right? At the address specified by the person for such notices, that specific information is inaccurate and the information is in fact inaccurate. It's very easy for you to prove that. And they even give you a definition. So for purposes of subparagraph A, the term reasonable cause to believe that the information is inaccurate means having specific knowledge other than solely allegations by the consumer, which is why you can't just say something. You have to always send a screenshot, right? Like you can't just say it. I'm not saying you have to prove it. Like the burden of proof isn't on you. However, you have to show, you can't just say. So other than solely allegations by the consumer that will cause a reasonable person to have substantial doubts about the accuracy of the information. And I'll just give you one more example before we get off of this. Like I had another update. Now, unfortunately, at the time that I was trying to do that update on late payments, all of my late payments were gone. So I couldn't like keep trying this myself. But one thing I had suggested was if you had late payments during COVID-19, there was a revision made just for that. So it lets you know right here that reporting information during COVID-19 pandemic, definitions in subsections, the covered periods, like there was a covered period from January 31st, 2020 and ending on the later date of 120 days after the date of enactment of this subparagraph, or 120 days after the date on which the national emergency concerning the novel coronavirus disease outbreak declared by the president on March 13th, 2020, meaning like basically after that date, from this time frame, there was a time frame where they couldn't report negative information, right? So you could have used this subsection in order to get late payments updated. And then there was a duty to correct and update information here. So again, like when people tell you all this information on YouTube, this is all that you really need to do. Literally everything is in here. You need to use this. All of the rules, everything that you can do is right here. No one has any special trick. No one has any special hack. No one knows anything that you can't figure out yourself. It's all here. You can read it, you can interpret it. And if you don't understand it, there's so many AI tools now. Throw it in the Claude, throw it in the Gemini, throw it in the Chat GPT. Say, hey, interpret this and tell me how I can use this information to update late payments on my credit report. It'll give you the most effective way that you can possibly do it. And then the next thing that you do is try. Worst case, it doesn't work, you try again. That is the only really like thing that is about credit repair. The law is always up for interpretation. You can't give a 100% guarantee that everything will work every single time. But if you do this long enough, you will find an effective way to update late payments. So I'm sorry if this was long, but I just want to like prove to you that there is nothing that you can't do on your own. Everything is here. No one has any special videos or special methods. And I'm just giving you the methods that I got from here that are the most effective that I've seen not work a guaranteed 100% of the time, but work most of the time. All right, now let's move on to exactly how you would send this dispute. All right, so currently we are on the CFPB, that is consumerfinance.gov. You can Google that. I'll also put a link down in the description. Now, what you'll want to do is scroll down here and you'll want to click on start a new complaint. Once you do that, you'll be prompted to either create an account if you don't already have one. And if you do have one, then you can click on already submitted a complaint or created your account. Once you click on that, you'll be prompted to sign in. And then the sign in screen will look like this. You'll enter your email, your password, and then you'll get logged in. Now, the first thing that you do when you get logged in is look at the top right-hand corner. There'll be a blue button that says start a new complaint. You should be on this screen right here, and then you'll click on credit reporting, and then you'll click on credit reporting again, and then you'll click on next. And then what type of problem are you having? You'll click on improper use of your report, and then which best describes your problem, and then you'll go to reporting company used your report improperly. And have you already tried to fix this problem with the company? Yes. Did you request information from the company? Yes, I did. What information did you request? And you're going to put a statement proving I was late on my account. And then did the company provide this information? No, they did not. And then you're going to click on next. And then on the next step, you're going to say exactly what happened. And you can use verbiage similar to this, but I would try to change it up just a little bit. Once again, you could throw it into ChatGPT, put it in your own words. It doesn't really matter. Just try to change it up somewhat. Now, I recently reviewed my credit report and noticed an account that was not reporting accurately. I had a late payment on an account that was in fact paid on time. The consumer reporting agencies need to report all information with complete accuracy. The account has not been late on payments. I've attached a copy of my credit report to this complaint on the following dates. You will then insert the date, and that will show up as the month and the year. I demand this payment be updated to paid on time. You cannot report information with knowledge that this information has errors. I have substantial doubts about the accuracy of the information. Please update this account to paid never late. And then you can even add something like shown on my report. Let's say Equifax, that was the one from my example, right? And you don't always have to like do this. I'm just doing this like really quick just so that you have an idea. Equifax shows paid on time, but TransUnion shows late. The other report is right and this one is wrong. So that's just like a quick example of something that you can like just throw together, right? You can add that at the very end. So just like something, just add at the very end, like this shows late, but in fact, it was actually correct on this one, but not on this one. And then you can go to what would be a fair resolution and like update the late payment on Equifax to paid on time, never late. Thank you. That's it. And then we'll attach our documents. Now, this is very important. You need to attach a copy of your driver's license, your social security card, your proof of residency, right? And then you need the screenshots of your actual credit report. Now, this is very important. Like, I know it's like, I feel like it's like understated. You want to update your personal information first. Make sure you remove any old addresses. Make sure that the address that you use for proof of residency and your license and this account, they all match. You know, you want to make sure that all the information there is accurate. You're going to upload it here, right? Driver's license, social, proof of residency, and then the screenshots of the accounts that we're disputing. And then you will click on next. Now, my recommendation is going to be, because with the CFPB, what I like about it, you technically can submit all disputes at the same time. However, when we just wrote that, I wrote that as if I was sending this specifically to TransUnion about Equifax. What I would recommend is that, I know it's easier, don't just send it to all three. You want to kind of modify that, right? Where you go back, copy your verbiage, but then change TransUnion to Experian. And then if you want to, with, you know, vice versa, you can also then turn around and say, hey, Equifax, these other two bureaus show that this is in fact paid on time, but you're late for this other month. You kind of see what I'm saying? You would then just flip everything to make sure that it goes whichever way that you would prefer. So for this example, let's just say that I'm sending this to TransUnion. And like, once again, you don't have to just send this to TransUnion. If it makes sense, then you can send it to all three bureaus at the same time. You'll then check this, and you'll enter the last four of your social. You'll enter your date of birth, and then you'll also enter your name as it appears on your credit report. Now, if the verbiage actually made sense and I didn't want to have to send three of these, I could also add Experian. Like, you can make it to where it's deliberate enough that it can apply to all three. But if you want to get more specific and you want to say, I'm specifically talking about this bureau, then you'll want to do this 3 separate times. And then you could say Experian, and then yes, the information, again, you requested a statement showing that you were late, right? You didn't get that. Did the company provide that? No, they did not. And then you would enter the same information here, right? Same thing. And then you would enter your name as it appears on your credit report. And then again, if you wanted to add the final one, Equifax, in this situation, that wouldn't make sense, right? So I would just say no and then next. Now, I'm not going to actually submit this right here, the last thing you want to do is click myself, and then you'll have a review page. The review page allows you to actually just look over everything and make sure that it's complete, it's accurate, and then you'll be able to send your dispute. Once you send this dispute, you'll be notified by the CFPB via email that it has been sent over to the company. And everyone gets this, okay? It always says it will be 60 days for this to be resolved. Look, you'll get a response from the credit bureaus in about a week. And that's why you don't look to the CFPB for updates on your dispute. Think of the CFPB like the post office. It's just used to send the dispute. They are not going to update you in real time about the status. That's not going to happen. You need to actually either download Ryezing, use that app, you'll get notifications, you'll see that, or you'll need to wait for letters in the mail, or you'll need to wait for some sort of notification that there has been, like, they have to legally notify you of a dispute. Once you're notified of that dispute, normally within like 7 days, the dispute is resolved or there has been a change. It can take up to 30 days. I normally don't see that for late payments, but just know that it can take up to 30. And then you'll receive either an update, and you'll probably notice that because your credit score will increase, or you'll be notified in some way, form, or fashion, maybe through a letter. And once that happens, you know, great. If it doesn't happen and they say it's verifiable, then I have another video that I'm going to follow this one up with. In fact, I'm going to link it right here. More than likely, this one will be out beforehand, but if you don't see it here, at the end of the video, I usually will have them linked in some way. So if not, you can go to my YouTube, search the magnifying glass, look for late payments, and then you'll find it. Either way, it'll come up. It'll probably be after this one. All right, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. I truly appreciate it. Once again, I'm going to be having another update to the previous method that I had already presented to you guys, and then I might do 2 more videos on updated late payments from some things that I have seen by working with people during one-on-one coachings. So it's not my firsthand experience. These 2 methods that I've shown you are my firsthand experience. I will be providing some other experiences that also may work for you in different scenarios and examples where you can try like different verbiage. And again, every scenario won't apply to everyone, but if it does apply to you, then it may actually be something that you can use to remove late payments if this doesn't happen right away. Now, if you don't get a late payment immediately, the follow-up is always to ask for a reinvestigation and ask them to provide you with proof. It's very simple. I've gone over it a few times, but I will go over it once again for a follow-up from this one in the next video. If you have any other questions, please drop them in the comments below. I really try to be as thorough as possible, and I will try to get to everyone's comment if you do leave it. Again, thank you so much for watching this video, and you guys have a wonderful day. Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. Today, I'll be discussing an alternative updated method on charge-off removal in 2026. So last year, I covered several videos on charge-off removals that are still valid strategies, and they do work as of the recording of this video. However, last year, the CFPB funding was cut by nearly 50% from a July 2025 budget bill that greatly reduced its operating budget from $785 million to $446 million. That sparked layoffs and also halted enforcement action as the current administration tried to weaken the CFPB, ultimately trying to eliminate it entirely. So I already covered a previous video which should have been released already. If it has not been, I'm going to also put that video at the end of this one because you would have needed to watch that video in order for this one to actually make sense. So in this video, I'll be covering why you don't need the CFPB to remove charge-offs, as we talked about once before. The CFPB was just an easy way for you to dispute charge-offs online. You still have the option of now submitting letters or sending it through Ryezing.com. So that's what we're going to be covering today. As I go through all of these steps, please understand that everything that we've discussed in the past, they're based on the FCRA. I talked about this in the previous video. Hopefully, again, you've already watched that, but I do suggest watching that before continuing this one. As long as your rights have not changed, these methods will all still work, but hopefully this one will be an even easier method going forward. Now, again, I went over what charge-offs are. I went over how they're the highest level of delinquency that you can have besides a bankruptcy. I also talked about what makes them one of the hardest items to get removed from your credit report. Okay, so again, we've already covered that. In this video, it's a continuation of how to send this dispute through an alternative means with Ryezing.com, and that's what we're going to talk about step by step. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Now, once again, I'm not going to talk about what a charge off is. You're already going to see that in the next video if you haven't watched it yet, or I'll discuss it either way. But what I do want to make sure is that you know where to get your credit report. My first recommendation is always annualcreditreport.com. That is the only source authorized by federal law to receive all 3 of your credit bureau reports for free, and at the recording of this video, you can do that once per week. It's also the only credit bureau that will show the history in its entirety for each account. Sometimes, no matter what platform you're looking at, whether it's Experian, MyFICO, even Ryezing.com, you may not get the full payment history. So I always suggest using this in tandem with whatever credit monitoring or dispute tool that you choose. Now, of course, my other recommendation is Ryezing.com. You can start a trial for $1 that will last 7 days. The link will be down in the description below. With Ryezing, this is going to be our main mode of disputing this information. It's also going to be a tool that helps us keep track of all of our disputes, because this will entail multiple rounds of disputing in order for you to remove this charge off. Now, again, I want to state, in the previous video, we talked about what a charge off is. We talked about the different types of charge offs. And again, I'm going to link this video. So if you haven't seen that and you want to get more details, then I suggest going back to that video and watching that. We're going to get into how to actually dispute a charge off once again. Now, I've broken down this method into 4 parts, starting with step number 1. For step number 1, we're going to send an investigation complaint. You never want to send a factual dispute to initially dispute a charge off. Talked about that many times. Again, if you don't understand that, refer back to the previous video. Step number 2, we're going to send a reinvestigation follow-up complaint. For step number 3, we're going to use factual disputes such as date of last activity, payment history, account attributes, and things like that. For step number 4, we're going to look at other factual disputes and account attributes if that charge off has not been deleted in round number 3. All this information came straight from the FCRA, that is the Fair Credit Reporting Act. We already talked about that. I've also showed you the Cornell Law School's Legal Information Institute, which is an online free resource that provides people with an understanding of the law. It makes it a little bit accessible to everyone as far as how the information is broken down. So with that said, let's talk about round number 1. So for round number 1, you're going to send an investigation complaint. You never want to send a factual dispute. What I mean by that is you don't want to actually say, hey, this is wrong on my account. Can you correct this? You don't want to say that. You need to send an investigation round. So round number 1 looks like this. Recently, I looked at a copy of my credit report. I noticed several inaccuracies on my account. This account is hurting my ability to obtain credit, and it's my understanding that you will investigate this account for me to ensure accuracy. Here is the account that I am asking you to investigate, and then the information is going to be on this dispute. Now, on Ryezing.com, it'll automatically generate all of this information. It'll also remind you that you need to send a copy of your driver's license, your social security card. You want to send a picture of that, and you also want to send your proof of address. You will need to send this with every dispute. All right. So this is round number 1. We've talked about this. I'm going to show you how to easily send this on Ryezing.com. Let's move on to round number 2. Round number 2 is for you to send a reinvestigation complaint. So round number 2 should sound something like this. I don't agree with the account listed below, which still appears on my credit report. Even after your investigation, I would like this account immediately reinvestigated. These inaccuracies are highly injurious to my credit rating. Furthermore, and so on and so forth, in accordance with the Fair Credit Reporting Act, please provide me with the names, business addresses of each individual with whom you verify the above with, so that I may follow up. Please forward me an updated copy of my credit report after you have completed the investigation and corrections. Your cooperation and prompt attention is greatly appreciated. And also the account information, which once again will automatically generate on Ryezing.com. And then you send a copy of driver's license, picture of your social security card, and then proof of address. Now, just like before, I told you with round number 3, before we send that, you actually want to take a look at your account or take a look at your actual credit report. Now, this can be from annualcreditreport.com if you want to use a screenshot from there. This is Ryezing.com. Now, this is a Merrick Bank account. This was a credit card that was charged off. And as you can see on the TransUnion history here, it shows charge off, charge off, charge off multiple times. All right. So on this account, we can see that the information is inaccurate. Like I said before, a charge off can only be charged off one time. If it's showing charge off multiple times, that is inaccurate. All right. Once again, the previous video talks about this in great detail. I don't want to have to repeat myself, but if you want more information on that to understand more of what I'm talking about, watch that video. But this is just an example of what we can use as a screenshot showing that this account is repeating charge off and it is not accurate. Again, you'll notice the full payment history isn't here. That just happens with some alternative methods. So I always suggest using annualcreditreport.com, but this is also an additional way that you can dispute this. Now let's talk about round number 3. Now, this is the method for disputing a charge off with a factual dispute. And round number 3 is the first round where you'll actually send a screenshot of your credit report, just like you see here. So again, we broke this down into step number 1, investigation. Step number 2, reinvestigation. In between these rounds, some of you may be asking, when do you know when to send this? You send this when the credit bureaus actually respond to the initial disputes. So round number 1, you send it off. The credit bureaus may respond in, let's say, like a week. They may verify the account. You move on to round number 2. Same thing happens with round number 2. They verify it. You're now on round number 3, which will show the factual dispute. And then we're going to use things like the date of last activity, account attributes. My recommended one always to use, which I see the best outcome with, more deletions with, will always be payment history. Usually it's repeated charge off. So here's how round number 3 would go. This account was charged off on the following date and month. You would then list that information. Since then, the account has repeatedly been updated as charged off every single month. This is an update in the payment history. A charge off account should not include an active payment history. This information is inaccurate. It falsely manipulates the statute of limitations. You failed to investigate this account properly, and your neglect has violated my rights. I am demanding a deletion of this account name, account number, and of course, send a copy of driver's license, your social security card, your proof of address, your screenshot of the inaccuracy with round number 3. All of this should be included. And this dispute really won't be very long. You identify the account, you explain what's wrong, and then you give your desired outcome. This is what I would like to happen. That is pretty much it. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. Now, again, in the previous video, we discussed all of this, but now I'm going to show you how you can easily do this with Ryezing.com and keep track of all of your disputes seamlessly. Currently, we are on Ryezing.com. If you are already a member, then just go to log in at the very top. You should have the option, depending on when you're watching this video, to download this on the App Store or Google Play Store. If it's not there, wait like 1 or 2 weeks and you should see it there. If not, you'll always have the option of logging in on the website. Now, if you're currently not a member, you want to click on Get Started. Once you do that, you'll click on Create Your Account, and you'll have to enter your first name, last name, your email address, create a password, and your current address. Now, this should be an address that you've had in the last 6 months. When you do that, you should see the preferred trial option. That's going to be 7 days for $1. Then it's going to be the standard rate of $39.99. But today it'll just be $1 for you. Then you'll want to click on Agree and Next. Once you do that, you'll be asked some security questions to verify your identity. It could be like recent loan accounts or recent accounts that you've set up, maybe even current addresses or counties that you've lived in. Once you answer those questions, your username should be your email address, and the password that you made here will be the password to log in. So once you click on Login, you'll be brought to this page. Once again, you can access this through the app if it's available at this time through the App Store or Google Play Store. If not, Ryezing.com, click on Login at the very top. Username is your email address. Password is the password that you created. And this is the home page of what it should look like for Ryezing.com, or the dashboard rather. So the first thing that we want to actually do is scroll down to our score factors and take a look at the negative accounts. Now, when you do that, it's going to tell you to use the credit report review tool. So let's click on that. Now it lets us know that we have 38 negative accounts. So here it says 12 collections. Now we're not looking at collections right now. If you want to look at collections, then refer back to my collection removal video. I'm going to link that right here. We're going to be looking for charge-offs. Now you can recognize charge-offs by how they're marked on the account details. So let's look at the one that we use for our example, and that's going to be with Merrick Bank. So I know it's a credit card. We're going to click here and we see Merrick Bank negative. So let's click here to get more details. And right here, that's all the information that we need. Merrick Bank, our account number, the type of account, it's a credit card, and date last reported, date of last payment, all of that information. Great, that's exactly what we need. And we see the repeated charge off right here. Now for this one, it's only reporting to Experian and it's also reporting to TransUnion. And you can see some of the account activity was cut off here, so we don't have that. If you don't see it on Ryezing.com, no worries. Get that screenshot from annualcreditreport.com instead. Now let's click on Start Dispute. Now the first thing that it's going to ask you is, have you disputed the same issue with this account before? If yes, then you want to enter the number of times, but this will not actually be any attempts so far. So you want to start with 0, and then you want to click on Next. And then you want to click on This account is inaccurate, and then we're going to click on Next. Now, again, this is an initial dispute, right? So we don't want to actually give the reason of why we're disputing this. We just want to say that the account itself is in fact inaccurate. So what I would suggest is clicking on other reasons and scrolling all the way down and clicking on custom, right? So that way you can provide your own details. And then we're going to enter the details that we saw from round number 1, the verbiage that I used for the example. All right, so I'm going to paste the details into here. And now we have our verbiage, and then we'll click on Next. All right. And then we'll click on Finish. Once we do that, we'll click on Draft Disputes. And after we click on Draft Disputes, we'll want to click on Generate Dispute Letters and then Continue. Now, remember, this account was only reporting to Experian and TransUnion. So, of course, we only have 2 disputes that were actually generated. Now, here's where things will differ from the CFPB method. Now, for this method, at the time of recording this video, you can only submit your disputes through Ryezing and generate a letter that you will have to send through the mail. In the future, there will be an option for you to actually send your disputes through Ryezing.com. I believe it's going to actually be here at the end of the month. That's what I've been told. So hopefully, if that does happen, then that's excellent. You'll be able to then send your disputes all via this platform. So don't worry about that. But for right now, it's going to generate letters for you. So let's take a look. Now, I want to also point out here that you need to include, once again, driver's license, your social security card, a picture of that, and your proof of address. Now, for this individual, all the information is going to be blocked out, but it will already have your name, your address, your date of birth, your social. It'll have the bureau that you're disputing with and the address already here for you. It'll also have the date. So all this information will already come preloaded for you. Then it'll say, Dear TransUnion, or Dear Equifax, or Dear Experian, but our example is TransUnion. I am writing to request an investigation of the following information that appears on my TransUnion consumer report. Dispute number 1. It's with Merrick Bank. Recently, I looked at a copy of my credit report and I noticed several inaccuracies on my account. This account is hurting my ability to obtain credit. Now, this is the exact same verbiage that we went over. All right. So then at the bottom, it also puts inaccurate information needs to be corrected. All right. It doesn't say what's going on. It's just asking them to investigate the account and to correct it. Now, this is everything that you would need. All right. And it's going to be the exact same thing, whichever bureau that you're looking at, exact same information. Now, again, this is round number 1. What we then want to do is mark this as sent. All right. And then we want to choose how we sent it. For now, until the option to do this online is available, you can click on US mail or certified mail. I suggest certified mail. And then the date that you sent it, which will be, of course, the same date, and then click Mark as Sent. Now, once you do that, excellent. Whenever you get a response from the bureaus, like you may see this from like a notification that you got from, let's say, Experian, TransUnion, or Equifax, or a letter, they'll let you know the dispute has had a response. Normally, it'll come back verified as accurate. So then let's do this. Let's go to Experian and add the results for round number 1. And what we're going to do is say that it was verified as accurate, round one verified. And I would just put like the date that it was verified. Let's say that it was the 15th of May. I think it's just good for keeping up with exactly what's going on, and click save results. So then it's showing for Experian, our dispute is declined. All right. So then what we want to do is go back to our other ones and do the exact same thing. Just make sure that everything is confirmed as, unless it was updated. Now, if it was updated or deleted, then you can change that. But if it was verified as accurate, which is probably what's going to happen, then you just want to make sure that you save the results. All right. So declined and declined. All right. So here's what we need to do now. We want to go back to our credit report review. We're going to go back to Merrick, and this is for round number 2. We're going to start our dispute. And then this time we're going to put that we've done one attempt already, right? So then we want to click on next. This account is inaccurate. And then for other reasons, unless there's a reason here that's that you want to use, I would scroll down and click on custom, and then we're going to use our round 2 verbiage. All right, so I went ahead, I copied and pasted our verbiage in, and then we'll click on next, and then we'll click on finish, and then we'll click on draft disputes, and then we'll click on generate dispute letters, and then continue. So now we have our round number 2 disputes, and then let's preview this as well. Let's preview the Experian one. And then as you can see, we have our Merrick Bank information here, and I don't agree with this account listed below, which still appears on my credit report even after your investigation. I would like this account immediately re-investigated. One thing that I noticed too, it said dispute number 1 here. If you want to change that to 2, then you can, or go back through the process and just put 2, because I noticed that it did put 1 because I put 1. I guess if you put 0 or 1, it's the same thing, but you might want to put 2 for here. That might add some additional verbiage, but that's okay, because any one of these things can be customized at any point in time. Again, all the information that we need is here. It does it for us, and of course with our custom verbiage that we made, it adds all of our account details. And then we're going to go to mark as sent, right? Certified mail. You would put the date that you did it. Of course, this will probably be like maybe 7 to 10 days later, depending on when the bureaus have responded. Then you'll want to click on mark as sent, right? Same exact thing. We're going to go and update what happened, because we need to make sure that we change that. If not, it'll start combining the disputes. So always make sure that you add in the actual results. And then same thing, once again, I'm going to say verified as accurate. And then let's say that this happened on the 28th of May, something like that. 2026, verified as accurate. And you're going to save these results. And then I'm going to do the same thing for this bureau, verified as accurate, save results. Cool. So now we've made sure that we've closed out round number 2. Now let's move on to round number 3. This will be our factual dispute. Now for round number 3, this is when you should be looking at getting some deletions. So we'll do everything once again. We'll click on start dispute. And this time, let's just put 3, because this is round number 3. We'll click on next, and this account is inaccurate. Other reasons, custom. And now let's use our round 3 verbiage. All right. And then we'll go back to draft disputes, and then we'll click on generate disputes, continue, and then let's preview this letter once again. So now your dispute will say this account was charged off on the following date. You then enter the month and year your account was charged off. Now, again, the reason that I like to use for round number 3 is always going to be the repeated charge off. So since then, the account has repeatedly been updated as charged off every month. This is an update in the payment history. A charge off should not include an active payment history. This inaccurate information falsely manipulates the statute of limitations. You failed to investigate the account properly, and your neglect has violated my rights. I am demanding a deletion of the following account. Inaccurate information needs to be corrected. Cool, right? We have all of the details that we actually need. Then you'll have the additional verbiage here as well. Sincerely, your name. It's going to show here, but this will be blurred out for now for this individual. And let's move on to where we actually print this out, because there's 2 ways that you can do it, right? You can print out this exact letter, and then you're going to add, again, driver's license, your social. You're going to also add the proof of residency. And this is where finally you're going to add a picture of your account. Now you can get that from annualcreditreport.com. You can use the one from Ryezing. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure that it's actually showing the information. I noticed with payment history, it can be kind of off. Ryezing is really good for like account attributes side by side, showing like the inaccuracies between accounts, which you would use for round 4 and beyond that. Okay. So For round 1 through 3, this is exactly what you would do. And once you mark this one as sent, hopefully what we'll be looking for is that the account got deleted. All right. So that's what we would do. Mark it as sent, and then we would wait to update our status. Hopefully at that point, the account is deleted. If not, then you would move on to round number 4. And let's talk about that very briefly. Now, when it comes to round 4 and beyond, you're going to be looking at other account attributes. Again, on Ryezing.com, they put things side by side, so it should be easy for you to locate these attributes. Like, for example, the one I've used here is double jeopardy. That means that you may have a collection account that's the same as your charge off. Now, 2 accounts can't be reported at the same time on your credit report. So if the collection is reporting, the charge off can't report. That's what double jeopardy is. So because of this, both accounts need to be removed from your credit report immediately. And you can use verbiage like this. The following accounts are claiming to both own the same debt with a balance. And as you know, this is not possible. This is also a violation of my rights. Because of this, both accounts need to be removed from my credit report immediately due to you not properly validating the information in which a company has passed to you. Please delete immediately. So that's just one example of what you could send in round number 4. Now, there may be verbiage already on Ryezing.com for this, but that's when I would take a look at the account attributes. Again, look at all the accounts side by side. Start trying to figure out what information is not reporting accurately. I have plenty of videos on round number 4, and I will make a new one with Ryezing.com probably in the near future, probably in the next couple of weeks. So look out for that video. If you do want that, then we'll continue from that point. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If this helped you at all, please like and subscribe and share this video with anyone who you think might need it. I really want to emphasize that even if the CFPB is no longer available, there will be alternative methods. Everything will always change, and that is okay. That's the reason why we have tools like Ryezing. That's the reason why you can just send your letters certified mail if you wanted to go that route. There's always going to be another way, and the CFPB is not the ones who upheld your rights. It was an easy way to send your disputes. They were a government credit bureau, the only government credit bureau that we actually do have, and they did enforce a lot of things, which was great. But that is not the only way to get information deleted, and they weren't some magic hub. The information that we're using in these videos and what's actually given to you in the FCRA, your consumer rights, that is how you get information deleted from your credit report, especially when it comes to removing charge-offs, which are highly damaging to anyone's report. If you guys have any additional questions, please drop that in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to answer them as quickly as I can. Also, at the end of this video, you will find the first video attached. If I did this properly, it should have released yesterday. So hopefully that isn't something that you need to watch again, but I had to make sure that I put that one out first before I release this one. But either way, all of these options work. Whichever one is better for you, that's the one I suggest that you use. And as always, thank you again for watching this video, and you guys have a wonderful day. Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. Today, I'll be discussing an update on charge-off removal in 2026. Now, last year, I covered several videos on charge-off removal, and all those videos are still valid. They're still valid strategies as of the recording of today's video. However, last year, the CFPB funding was cut by nearly 50% in a July 2025 budget bill, greatly reducing operating budgets from $785 million to $446 million. This sparked layoffs, it halted enforcement action as the current administration tried to weaken it and ultimately eliminate the bureau entirely. However, I showed you a new method where you can send your disputes through the Better Business Bureau. I want to let you know that method does not work nearly as well as it used to, but you can still send your disputes through the CFPB. I'll also let everyone know the mail always works. So what I'll be covering is a few things. Number one, you don't need the CFPB to remove charge-offs. The CFPB was just an easy way to send your disputes online. You can still send options by disputing them through the mail and sending letters certified. However, the CFPB still does work. So as I go through the steps today, please understand that the methods that I've discussed in the past and to this day, they are all based on the FCRA, also known as the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And as long as your rights have not changed, then these methods will always work. So like I said before, in the future, if the mode of sending these disputes becomes obsolete, you can always fall back on sending all your disputes through the mail. Now, when it comes to a charge-off is the highest level of delinquency that you can get besides a bankruptcy on your credit report. And that's what makes it one of the hardest items to get removed from your credit report to date. But I'm going to show you step by step the way that you can dispute charge-offs to get them permanently deleted from your credit report. And once again, this has been and still will be the most accurate method that I can provide, and I'm going to give you some information on exactly what you can expect. So this will be the fastest and most accurate way to dispute charge-offs in 2026 and get them removed from your credit report. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Just like last year, I want to preface this by saying you need to get in the right state of mind. Despite what you hear online, no one can guarantee you a charge-off will be removed in any certain period of time at all. They cannot do it. I am not a credit repair specialist. This is not a credit repair channel, and I don't want money for credit repair. Please don't email me. Please don't ask me. I have never and will never do it. But here's what I can say. I personally fix my own credit using the methods that I'm going to provide for you today, as well as various other methods on this channel, and I'm sharing them with you for free so you can do this yourself. All the information I give is DIY, meaning you do it yourself and you are 100% in control of your credit and your finances. Now, what I can promise you is if you follow these steps properly, it will greatly increase your chances of success. Most of you watching this video, you've seen my previous methods, you've seen them on hard inquiries, you've seen them on collections, you've seen them on late payments, and chances are you saw some success with those methods. Charge-offs are different. Unlike collections, hard inquiries, or late payments, removal there isn't a one-size-fits-all strategy. You just can't use the same thing to get them off. Like I've told a lot of people, a credit report is as unique as a fingerprint. Every charge-off is unique, which means not any one charge-off can be removed the exact same way perfectly where you can guarantee the same result. However, for me personally, I've removed 8 charge-offs from my credit report, all collections, and I did it using all the methods that I provided on this channel. Did it take me a long time? Yes, but I didn't have all of these methods that I'm providing you today. I learned all of this along the way, and I'm giving it to you up front, so hopefully you can do it faster. And to put this in perspective, again, I've said this in several videos, but some of you might be new here. It took me roughly 2 years to clean up my credit from start to finish. The first 12 months, I didn't do anything except let the accounts age. And then after that, I spent 12 months adding positive payment history and disputing derogatory information. And around the time that I created this channel, it was around January of 2024. I think 2 months after that, I got my last charge off removed and I documented the entire process on this channel. So once again, what you're getting is not some credential that I'm throwing around. I'm giving you real world experience from a person who's done it by himself, okay? So let's move on. To begin, let's discuss where you should be getting your credit reports to get the most accurate information. Now, my first recommendation is annualcreditreport.com. Annualcreditreport.com is the only source authorized by federal law to receive all 3 of your bureau reports completely for free. And as of the recording of this video, you can pull your report once per week. It's also the only credit report that shows your complete payment history in its entirety. Now, my other recommendation is Ryezing.com. You can start a trial for $1. The link will be down in the description. Now, Ryezing is a credit monitoring service with a credit simulator, and it can predict where your score can rise depending on actions that you take. The reason I like Ryezing for this method is because it provides you with a tri-merged credit report. A tri-merged credit report combines your credit information from all 3 major bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. It puts it all into one single comprehensive document, making this very easy to review your accounts and show the credit bureaus the information that will be inaccurate. You also get real-time updates on your disputes, so you'll be notified when charge-offs have been removed. Either way, the goal is the same. You want a clean, readable credit report. That way you can get charge-offs removed. So by now, you should have a clean, accurate credit report either from annualcreditreport.com or Ryezing.com. Now let's define exactly what a charge-off is. A charge-off means that a company has written off a debt because it does not believe it will receive money that it's owed. You are still responsible for paying debt that has been charged off. Paying off or settling the overdue debt does not mean that it will be removed from charge-off status on your consumer credit report. So even if you pay off a charge-off, it does not mean that the status will go away. It will still remain on your credit report. Instead, the status will likely be changed to charged off, paid, or charge-off settled. That's the reason why we focus on deleting the account. A charge-off that's settled still has the same amount of damage as a normal charge-off. It will hurt your credit report. It will prevent you from getting funding. It will definitely bring down your score. So today, factual disputes will be the main topic of conversation. I will give you different scenarios because again, not all charge-offs will be the same. They're going to be different depending on your situation. Now, before we talk about the different types of charge-offs, I do want to say that I've been doing a new business where I'm actually doing data furnishing. So I do have some information that I plan to provide in a follow-up video of how you can dispute charge-offs from your credit report from a creditor perspective, because like now I basically know exactly what happens when you're a creditor and exactly what you have to uphold. But again, I will discuss that in a separate video. Now, when it comes to different types of charge-offs that you'll encounter, there are high balance charge-offs. These are charge-offs that can be anywhere from $1,500 or more depending on your situation. Now, when it comes to high balance charge-offs, these are the ones that usually debt collectors like to sue over. Now, I do have an entire video where I talk about lawsuits. I'm going to link that video right here. If you have an account that's been charged off and it's also been sold to a debt buyer, then check out that video. It definitely will give you more details into that particular scenario. Just be aware that higher balances can most likely lead to lawsuits. I just want to make sure that I give this information and address it. It does not mean that I'm saying you should not dispute the account, because regardless, if the account is still on your credit report, you can still be sued. Whether you get it removed, whether you don't, it can still happen. Next, we have a low balance charge-off, and that can be anything below $1,500. You can usually get these accounts deleted by factual disputes. They are a lot easier to remove. We also have paid or settled accounts. Either it's paid in full or maybe you settle for a lower balance. Whatever the case may be, these accounts are still legally validated. And when you factually dispute this account, you can skip round 1 and round 2 and go straight into round 3. Now, if you haven't seen my videos before, we will go into detail about what these rounds actually mean. A transferred account usually has a 0 balance and it should indicate sold or transferred. Now, you will need to check your credit report to verify this. If you see that it's reporting a balance, it indicates sold or transferred, you'll want to submit round 1 and round 2. Now, these are not all the types of charge-offs, but these are definitely the most common ones that you'll see on your credit report. Okay, so here is the method for disputing a charge-off using factual disputes. Now, I have broken the dispute method into 4 separate parts, or you could think of this as 4 rounds, starting with round number 1. You're going to send a preliminary investigation or an initial investigation, whichever one you want to call it, the words interchange. You never send a factual dispute to initially dispute a charge-off. Step number 2, we're going to send a reinvestigation, a follow-up complaint. For step number 3, we're going to use factual disputes. Now, I use things such as date of last activity or payment history or certain account attributes, and I'm going to go over that later in this video. And for step number 4, if the charge-off isn't deleted with that previous round, you will then send additional disputes until that account has been deleted. All of this information came from the FCRA, which is the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and that's what we're going to be going over next. And then we'll also be going over to the Cornell Law School Legal Information Institute. They provide free online resources that help people understand law, and it makes it very easy for anyone to decipher this information. All right, so currently I have the Fair Credit Reporting Act pulled up. I will put a link in the description for you, and I really want you guys to please pay attention to exactly what's going to happen when we're looking at this report. So if anyone tells you that they have a trick, a hack when it comes to credit repair, those are just buzzwords that people use in order to get your attention. Like I said last year, that's fine when the information actually does work. But if you want to actually know what to do on your own without watching a YouTuber or personality or anything like that, all the answers are right here. This will tell you everything that you need to do. This is your rule book. These are your rights. and you need to understand them if you want to make sure that you can clean up your credit report. So let's scroll down, and I want to take you to the table of contents. Now, there's a lot of information here. You guys should definitely check this out, but I already know the exact subsection that I want to actually show you, and that's going to be subsection 623, responsibilities of furnishers of information to consumer reporting agencies, 15 USC. So click on that and it will bring you right to this one. And right here, the responsibilities of furnisher of information to consumer reporting agencies. So these are the responsibilities of a furnisher. Like I said before, I started doing data furnishing now, so I understand exactly what rules need to be upheld in order for this to be legally applicable to your credit report and for the information to actually stick. Now, the duty of furnishers of information is to provide accurate information. If we look at this section A, reporting information with actual knowledge of errors. A person shall not furnish any information relating to a consumer to any consumer reporting agency if the person knows or has reasonable cause to believe that information is inaccurate. So if you have reasonable cause to believe that your information is not right, you can dispute the information. Now, reporting information after notice and confirmation of errors, a person shall not furnish information relating to a consumer to any consumer reporting agency if the person has been notified by the consumer. So if you tell them at the address specified by the person, which means, and that's why removing all of the previous addresses on your credit report is important, and that the information is consistent across all three bureaus. So at the address specified by the person for such notices, that specific information is inaccurate, and the information is in fact inaccurate. And you get a definition right here. For purposes of subparagraph A, the term reasonable cause is that you believe the information is inaccurate. So if you have reasonable cause to believe information is inaccurate, you can get that information disputed. So guys, you're not disputing whether or not you owe the balance. You're not disputing whether or not you didn't or did pay a debt. What you're disputing is the accuracy of information and what you believe to not be correct. And that is the only thing that we're talking about today. Now, I've switched over to the Coronel Law Legal Information Institute. Reason being, when you look at the FCRA, the information is intentionally ambiguous. Like I said before, they make it very difficult for you to understand, and then you have to try to interpret what the law actually is. So because of that, you can't just say that something is explicitly stated. The information is intentionally made to be that way, so that you have to sort of try to figure out exactly what's being said. And this is where the Coronel Law School really does help. And like I said before, as long as the law is up to interpretation, you can't get the same result every single time. So we have to actually go in here and find the parts that we can use in order to support our arguments. All right, so let's take a look at what exactly happens when you dispute an account. So this will be 15 U.S. Code subsection 1681I, procedure in case of disputed accuracy. And if we go right here, this talks about the reinvestigations of disputed information. So, subject to subsection F and except as provided in subsection G if the completeness or accuracy of any item of information contained in a consumer's file at a consumer reporting agency is disputed by the consumer and the consumer notifies the agency directly or indirectly through a reseller of such dispute, the agency shall, free of charge, conduct a reasonable reinvestigation to determine whether the disputed information is accurate and record the current status of the disputed information or delete the item from the file in accordance with paragraph 5. So just to sum all of this up, this lets you know right here, before they actually can delete an account, there might be a reinvestigation. Well, if there's a reinvestigation, that means there has to be an initial investigation. That's the reason why when I read this, when I was trying to clean up my credit report, I would interpret this as you need to send an investigation first to ask them to look into the accuracy of an account. Then you have to submit a reinvestigation. When you do that, they have to reasonably investigate the account to determine whether or not that disputed information is in fact accurate. Now, they have to do this before the end of the 30-day period beginning on the date on which the agency had received the notice of the disputed information from the consumer or the reseller. And then we're going to scroll down a little bit and we're going to take a look at treatment of inaccurate or unverifiable information. So it says, if after any reinvestigation under paragraph 1 of any information that's disputed by a consumer, an item of the information is found to be inaccurate or incomplete or cannot be verified. So that could be it. It could be inaccurate, it could be incomplete, or they can't verify it by the consumer reporting agency, then they shall promptly delete that item of information from the file of the consumer, or they have to modify that information as appropriate based on the results of the reinvestigation and promptly notify the furnisher of that information that it has been modified or deleted from the file of the consumer. So what this is saying is that when you actually submit, like let's say you're round 3, your factual dispute, you have to have information that's either inaccurate, incomplete, or just simply can't be verified, which is why I always have you remove old personal information. That helps with verification. They can't verify it. Or if it's incomplete, you have to show them exactly what's incomplete. Or if it's inaccurate, show them what's inaccurate. All right. When you do this, they will either delete the information or they will update the information. It can go either way. Now, in a best case scenario, the information gets deleted. If it doesn't go that way, they can update the file. But that's where we can continue sending reinvestigations, right? Telling them that it's still incorrect, and we could show them other reasons why the account is either 1, inaccurate, 2, incomplete, or they won't be able to verify the information that you're asking for or the information that you're disputing. Now, guys, this is the reason why I stress so much. The CFPB doesn't matter. The BBB doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, okay? These agencies don't uphold your rights. You do. The law does. It's here. This is the rule book. These are your rights. As long as you know these, you can get the information deleted off of your credit report. Okay, you need to know them, and then you need to know the procedures, which is the steps that we need to take in order to get these accounts deleted. So now that we hopefully understand why we have to go through this process, let's talk about round 1. Now, for round 1, you're going to send an investigation complaint. You never want to send a factual dispute until after you have had this initial or procedural investigation, and then this will be followed up by a reinvestigation. So I have the verbiage right here, and you can actually copy and paste it in. I would try to change it slightly, just, put it in your own words, but this is what you would send for round 1. I'm also going to show you how to send this through the CFPB, but if you didn't want to do that and you want to put this in a letter, you can literally just copy this and make this the body of your letter, and you can then send this to whichever bureau that you're disputing with. Now, for round 1, it says, recently I looked at a copy of my credit report. I noticed several inaccuracies on my account. This account is hurting my ability to obtain credit. It's my understanding that you will investigate this account for me to ensure accuracy. Here is the account I am asking you to verify as accurate. And then you put the account name, the account number, and put the account number exactly as it appears on your credit report. Now you need to send a copy of your driver's license. This is very important. Make sure that your driver's license matches the address that is on your credit report. If the information is mismatched, then this will not help you. Please make sure that you remove all the old personal information. You have one name, you have one address that matches. All right, that is non-negotiable. The next thing that you want to do is send a picture of your social security card. Take a picture of that, crop it. You want to upload that and send that through the CFPB as well. You can also put that in your dispute letter. And then you also want to send your proof of address. You will send that for round 1. And proof of address can be a utility bill. It could be your bank statement. It could be your car insurance, anything like that, that proves that you live somewhere. I mean, it could even be like, internet, Wi-Fi, anything like that. You want to send all of this for round 1, and I'm going to show you how to do that later on in this video. Now, round number 2 will be sending your reinvestigation complaint. Now, a lot of people ask me about how do I know when to send the next round. My recommendation is to use the Ryezing app. If you do have Ryezing, you will get notified once the dispute has been resolved. If the dispute is resolved and of course the account stays the same, sometimes you'll get a deletion for round 1, but usually it just comes back as verified. When that happens, you can go back to the CFPB and you can send your round 2 dispute, or you'll get a letter in the mail letting you know the dispute has been resolved. If it shows up as verified, then you'll know, okay, I can send my next round after this. You want to make sure that you don't send round 2 if you wait more than 30 days. If you wait more than 30 days, go back to round 1 and start from the beginning. Now, for the round 2 verbiage, it says, I don't agree with the account that's listed below, which still appears on my credit report. Even after your investigation, I would like this account immediately reinvestigated. These inaccuracies are highly injurious to my credit rating. And then furthermore, in accordance with the Fair Credit Reporting Act, again, it's the same thing that we talked about. Please provide the names and business addresses of each individual with whom you verified above so that I may follow up. Please forward me an updated credit report after you have completed your investigation and corrections. Your cooperation and prompt attention is greatly appreciated. And then you will put the same information, the account name, the account number, send driver's license, copy of social, and proof of address. You do not send any factual disputes or a picture of your credit report yet. All we're doing is asking them to reinvestigate and say, hey, if you did this investigation, if this is actually true, provide me with exactly how you did it. All right. And if they don't do that, sometimes you get a deletion just from round 2. Now, let's say that you didn't get a deletion. This is where we're going to move on to round number 3. Now, before we talk about round number 3, I just want to go over the most common inaccuracies. Now, the number 1 inaccuracy that I recommend that people use is the repeated charge-off method. That means that every month on your credit report, the account will actually update as charged off. Now, this is extending your statute of limitations, and every update makes the account look newer than it actually is. Re-aging an account, that is illegal. The next one is not indicating when or if the account has been sold. That is a misrepresentation of the account status. Not reflecting a $0 balance after the account has been transferred, sold, that's double jeopardy. If you're reporting inconsistent balances across all 3 bureaus, that's misinformation. There's also the date of first delinquency. That would be illegally changing the account to reflect the wrong date. There's also changes after the 180-day status of a charge-off. Normally, a charge-off is an account that after 180 days, the account was not paid. Once again, the bank had decided or the creditor had decided that they cannot collect on this account. They charge it off. Once that happens, you cannot update the account. The account is dead. Now, these are the most common inaccuracies that I'm going to discuss in this video. Later on, I'm going to show you another video where, as a data furnisher, exactly what the mistakes are where our accounts can be deleted. That way you have a little bit of insider information in case you need to go beyond round 3. Once again, this video will already be long, so I'm going to separate that and put that in my next video. Now, here's an example of a factual dispute. You can see that this was an account that I had with Merrick Bank on Equifax. Now, as you can see, Equifax every single month is being reported as charged off. However, the account was initially charged off back in 2022. So if this account was charged off in 2022 and it was in March, why is it that every single month you're updating the account? That is extending the statute of limitations. That is not accurate reporting. This information is inaccurate. It is a misrepresentation of me and my credit. This account needs to be deleted. So this is an example of when you send round 3, this is what you're going to want to screenshot. And I recommend that you screenshot each one for the bureau that it corresponds to. You want to show the one for Equifax, you want to show the one for Experian, and then you want to show the one for TransUnion. All right, now let's go over this one more time. We're going to put it all together. So step 1, or round number 1, we're going to send an investigation complaint. That's that procedural initial investigation to dispute our charge off. We're going to send the documents that I mentioned. We're not going to send a screenshot of the account. Step 2, we're going to send our reinvestigation. That is our follow-up complaint once we get notice. You do not want to keep sending a dispute after a dispute. If you do that, they will throw it out as frivolous. You have to wait for them to respond before you send your next round. Once you have a response or an update on your credit report, again, use Ryezing.com, then you will know that you can move on to step number 2. Now, step number 3, that's what we're currently on right now. That's when we're going to get our screenshot and we're going to send some verbiage like this. Now, the account was charged off on the following date. You can put the month, you could put the year. Since then, the account has repeatedly been updated as charged off every single month. This is an update in payment history. A charge-off account should not include an active payment history. This inaccurate information will falsely manipulate the statute of limitations. You failed to investigate the account properly, and your negligence has violated my rights. I am demanding a deletion of the following account name, account number. Now you can screenshot this, copy this, try to change it up a little bit, but you'll send something like this and you'll match the information on your credit report. The reason why I like to show you this one is because most people will have this example. Now, if you don't have this example, any of the other disputes that I talked about, you can use. Now, once again, I'm only going to show you round 1 through round 3 because round 4 and beyond depends on what's on your credit report. I have no idea what's on your account. When you're watching this video, this is the most likely one that you'll see, but I don't know what's actually on there. So I could not tell you what to do for round 4 or beyond that. You'd have to look at your report and see what information is either unverifiable, inaccurate, or incomplete. Now, again, I will have a follow-up video with some more examples, but here is one example for round 4. Now, let's say that you have an account that's charged off, but there's also a collection. Now, again, that's double jeopardy. I can't have the same charge off and collection on my credit report. So this is an example of something that you would send for round 4 if this was a scenario that you were in. Now, the following accounts are both claiming the same debt with a balance. As you know, this is not possible, and this is a violation of my rights. And because of this, both accounts need to be removed from my credit report immediately due to you not properly validating the information in which a company has passed to you. Please delete immediately. Now, that's when you would list account number 1, the name and the account number, and then account number 2. So that is an example of the next thing that you can do if, let's say, after round 3, it was deleted from Experian and Equifax, but not TransUnion. Now, if TransUnion does something like this, you can send this as a dispute. But as you can see here, it's highly personalized. That's why I said there's no one charge off or personal information on a credit report that's the same. That's why you can't just exactly copy what someone else did and expect to see the same results. Everybody's credit report is different, and that's why there are so many different ways to dispute these accounts. You have to find them. Now, with that being said, I'm going to actually show you how you would submit round 1 through the CFPB, and then from there, that's the same way you would submit round 2 and round 3 and any round beyond that. Or once again, you can also copy this text, put it in the body of a letter, and you can mail it certified if you want to go that route. Either way, it does not matter. They will both work. So currently we are on the CFPB website. I'm going to put a link in the description if you guys want to check this out. You're going to scroll down and you're going to select start a new complaint. Now, if you do have an account created, you can actually go to already submitted a complaint or created your account here, or you would go through this process of signing up. Now, if you click on here, then you'll be able to log into your account. Now, once you log in, you'll look for the top right-hand corner. There'll be submit a complaint. It's a blue button. Just click on that, and then it will take you to this section right here. Now, the first thing that you'll want to do is select credit reporting, and then you're going to select credit reporting for the type of credit product, right? You're going to click on next. Then for what type of problem that you're having, you're going to click on problem with the company's investigation into an existing problem. And then you're going to select their investigation did not fix an error on your report. Have you already tried to fix this problem with the company? Yes. Did you request information from the company? Yes. This section right here is optional. You don't have to put anything in here. Did the company provide the information? The answer is no. And then you'll click on next. Now, once you do this, we're going to be brought to the section where we can actually say what happened. Again, you can just copy that and try to change the verbiage up slightly, but you're going to do this. Recently, I looked at a copy of my credit report. Again, the same information that we talked about for round number 1. Then you're going to put the charge off name, and then you're going to put the account number as shown on your report. And then you're going to scroll down here. What would be a fair resolution? And then for fair resolution right here, you can just say, please investigate this account. Please investigate this account for accuracy. Or to be honest, you really could just copy and paste the exact same thing if you wanted to. It's not really like a big deal because you're going to restate the exact same thing. You notice several inaccuracies with this account. You want them to investigate it and ensure that it is accurate. It's really going to be the exact same thing. Now, when you come down here, this is where you're going to upload your documents. Again, driver's license, you want to have the address that matches your credit report. Very important. You want to also have the same correct name. Then you want to make sure that you add your proof of residency. All right. It needs to be something that shows the same address on your credit report and on your license. And the last thing you'll need is a copy of your social. If you don't add this, they will try to do a stall tactic saying that they can't identify you. Once that happens, it just prolongs this process. All right, then you'll click on next. Now, here's the great thing about the CFPB. For round 1, for round 2, you can pretty much send one dispute and you can send it to all 3 bureaus. Now, when it comes to round 3, if your dispute reason is different, then unfortunately, you'll have to send them separately. So I'll give you an example right here. You'll put Experian, right? Look for the company name. It's going to ask you to enter your social, your name as it appears on your credit report, and your date of birth. So I'm going to enter my social. I'm going to enter my date of birth here. And then I'm going to enter my name as it appears on my credit report. Then it's going to ask, do you want to complain about another company? And the answer is yes. Now I want to complain about, let's say, TransUnion, right? And again, round 1 is going to be pretty much the exact same if you're disputing one charge off, because round 1 isn't really going to give you any specific information, but that might change across the bureaus as you get to round 3 and your factual disputes. So I've already tried to fix this with the company. Did you request the information? Yes. You don't have to put anything here. Answers no here. And we're going to put the same exact thing, guys. So just repeat that process. And then we're going to enter the name as it appears on the credit report. And then, do you want to complain about another company? Yes. And then I want to complain about, finally, Equifax, right? And then Equifax will come up. And again, all the exact same things. We just put the exact same information. Now, again, the reason why I like this is because when you do it like this, the CFPB will send your dispute to all 3 credit bureaus at the same time. So it saves you a bunch of time instead of having to do this one by one. Again, that works for round 1 and round 2. Now, if round 3, let's say it's showing repeated charge off for, all 3 credit bureaus, it's the exact same thing, then I guess you could actually just do this and send them all at the same time. But if there's any discrepancy, like anything slightly different, the name, anything, I would recommend just sending them separately. All right. Then you're going to click on next. Now, this is going to be the last step that I'm going to show you. Now, who are you submitting this complaint for? You would click myself. Never put someone else. If you put someone else, it'll get thrown out as frivolous. You always want to select myself. Now, when you select myself, the next option is review, like it says here. It just shows all of your information. Just make sure that everything is correct. If everything is correct, you're good to go. Submit that complaint. You will then see the complaint in your portal for the CFPB. Here's one thing that I always get asked about. I just have to reiterate it. The CFPB is like a one-way street. The CFPB will not update you automatically about your disputes. You will not get constant updates about this, okay? The CFPB is just going to send this out, and then they will send you the same thing. It'll say after 60 days, this complaint will be completed. They send that out as a default to everyone. That is not what's going to happen. What will happen is the bureaus will respond in usually like a week or so, I would say 5 to 7 days. And you may see this either through Experian. If you have the app, Experian notifies you. TransUnion, if you create an account with them, then you can log on and you can go to their dispute portal and you can see when it's been resolved. You can also go to Equifax, go down to their dispute center. They will show you the status of the dispute. Or you can download Ryezing and you'll be notified when there's an update on each account. When you receive that notification for an update, now you will then send round 2. You will copy that other verbiage that I said for round 2. You will come back and repeat this process. Then you'll wait, get an update. Maybe some things got deleted, maybe not. Then you will send round 3. And that is where you may have to do these one by one. All right, because then depending on what's on each bureau, the information might be different and you want to make sure that you screenshot accurate. If it's TransUnion, it should go to TransUnion. If it's Equifax, theirs may be different. You want to send it to them. If it's Experian, again, it might be different. You want to send that. Account number might be different, name. You want to send the screenshot that corresponds with that bureau. So again, that may make this process take a little bit longer, but it's definitely better than sending letters and writing three of them out and then mailing those off and send them certified. All right, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you took anything away from this, just understand that when you actually know your rights, when you know the law, this process does become a whole lot easier. I also want to set the right expectations. Once again, no one person's credit report is the same. There are no guarantees here. You are not guaranteed to get an account deleted. This process, this information does just make it more likely for you to succeed. And another thing, most people get deletions not just because they understand this process. It's really because they're persistent. Like for me, I probably have sent over 300 complaints. I've done it so many times, and I know me, I'm a persistent person. If I want something done, it will get done. I will stay on top of it. The more persistent you are, the more likely that you are to see the results. So if you're someone who emails me or tries to contact me and tries to say, hey, I sent 1 or 2 rounds, this didn't get deleted, I'm sorry, like 3 or 4, my response is normally like, look, I've sent 15, I've sent 20, I've done this as many times as it took, okay? That's all that I can really say. Your persistence will pay off, and how much you want it will actually determine the results that you see. So stay consistent, stay on top of it. If one method doesn't work, or a dispute rather, try a different option. Keep trying new things, because worst case scenario, this information falls off in 7 years. So if you do nothing, it'll still fall off. The best thing that you can do in the meantime is learn exactly what's going on, build positive financial habits, so when you are ready, you can actually start taking advantage of your good credit, your funding sources, anything like that. Like you can leverage your credit score to your benefit, because really in the end, the reason why people have bad credit usually has to do with them not being responsible with money. That's really what it comes down to. And because of that, an account defaulted. That's really what it comes down to for the most part. Are they over leveraged? That happens to everyone. It happened to me. It doesn't matter how smart you think you are. It doesn't matter how well you think you can handle money. This happens to every single person usually. Okay, so you're not alone. Everyone usually will go through this in some way, form, or fashion. I hope that for you, the process is smooth. I hope that it does really work out. But if not, once again, stay persistent, stay consistent. I will have a follow-up video where I talk more about the data furnishing side, because now as time has gone on, I have a broader perspective looking at the other side, being a data furnisher and reporting information. And now I see exactly what's required by me legally in order to uphold this account and have it report to your personal credit. So that is a very unique perspective that I've never shown on this channel, and I definitely want to share that with you guys. So hopefully it'll help you get more deletions. Once again, thank you so much for watching this video. I greatly appreciate it, and you have a wonderful day.